And we are live, man. Welcome everybody to the free MOA Monday group coaching that we're doing. Today is going to be a little different because we have an incredibly special guest. This is something I wanted to do for a while, is just start doing some of these live. I tape my podcast and I wanted to try something a little different this time. So it's really awesome that he agreed to come on here. Alex, you want to unmute yourself right now? Guys, we have Alex Costa. He's got millions of subs on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. He is incredible. I mean, Alex, one of the first things I want to say before we get this started, I know you went to military school in Brazil when you were growing up. You are one of the most squared away dudes. I am a former U.S. military officer. I have 700 combat hours. I used to fly for the U.S. Air Force. You are one of the most squared away looking dudes I have ever seen. You get out of bed, your hair's perfect. Like all your stuff in your bathroom is in I was showing this to my girlfriend and she's like, what the fuck? There's like no cords hanging anywhere. Your stuff is like flawless. So if you could just go into it, man, just introduce yourself. I'm really excited to have you on the show.
What's going on, guys? Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Sure. All right. Perfect. What's up? My name is Alex Costa. Great to be here. Thank you so much for having me. And that's just honestly, dude, I wish I wasn't like that. It's like a little bit of OCD in there. And I think military school in Brazil at a young age definitely fed into that. But I get such pleasure from having things being organized and hiding my cords, like you said, and making sure that everything's great. So that's literally it. And if you don't know me, I do men's lifestyle content on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, the works, basically just helping guys elevate themselves because there are so many reasons to do so, right? And myself, I've had my glow up journey myself, and I've seen the benefits from that. So that's what I try to portray and show on social media.
Oh, yeah, man. One of the things I want to say is, so you have a new apartment in New York and you can see the Freedom Tower from your place. And that was impressive. But like the rest of I watched your, if you guys want to check out his morning routine, I know one of the things we talk about in Men of Action is checklists and alarms. And it just really was interesting how you had that morning routine going. 9:30, you're having breakfast. And by 10 o'clock, you've already got your team coming over and you're already discussing the plans for all the things you're going to do. They're just really organized. Can you talk about a little bit about that, about the organization and how that's helped you become successful?
Yeah, I've always been a planner and a big believer in just building those time slots for you for the day. So I used to do everything the night before. I used to go through my calendar, make sure that the next day is looking good, time block, whether I had to shoot, go through emails, talk to my agent, etc. As much as I can put into my Google Calendar, I just like to be organized. I do that in the morning nowadays. I'm waking up a little earlier, making sure that everything is ready to go for the day. Wake up around 7, nothing crazy. I'm not one of those guys that's like, got to wake up at 4 a.m., hit the cold plunge. I don't really do that. I love the cold plunge. I'll do that maybe once a week, once every couple of weeks, but I don't need it to wake up. I don't do the Wim Hof or any of that. And if that works for you, amazing, great. It's just not my style. So wake up, get some work done, hit the gym, come home, have my breakfast around 9:30, like you said. I love that you know exactly like my morning routine.
Bro, I'm a U.S. military. So here's the thing. Not only am I an officer, I flew a KC-135, so I was a navigator. Everything, if you're a navigator, you should be able to navigate the earth with a compass and a stopwatch. So time is like a big thing for me, like exactly how long it takes for me to get down to my gym on the first floor. Like I know those things. And just watching that, I was like, how organized you were with that, I think is really, really important.
Yeah, I always keep track of time and just try to make sure that I'm on track, right? Because like I said, I have my team coming in at 10. If I'm still at the gym, they're waiting for me. I'm not, my day doesn't start off right, and I want to make sure that I squeeze every minute that I can. That if I'm paying for a team, if they're here to work, so I'm pretty strict with that, and I try to make sure that we get everything done in time. My team stays here till around 6 p.m. When they go, that's usually when I work on my own stuff. I love having that just peace, just working at home by myself. So even after they leave at 6, like my videographer left at 6, and I was just watching some of your videos, making sure that I was ready for this. And then also that's when I shoot my YouTube videos, because I like to shoot my YouTube videos, if the talking head parts, just by myself here at home, give myself as much time as possible and privacy as possible to shoot those videos too. So yeah, I try to really make sure that I put everything into my calendar. And even when it comes to like a dinner or something fun, entertainment, I just slot it in, because otherwise, honestly, I probably forget it, because I live by my Google Calendar. So if it's not there, it's not real. It doesn't really exist.
And you work from home. That's another thing. I want to get into the look stuff, but this business stuff is also really the productivity stuff is really interesting to me. You work from home. and you have your studio, you film most of your stuff, your content from a studio that you built in your place. I'm in my den right now. So my gym is in my building. I just feel like it's way more efficient to be able to work like this. And you said your team is in your apartment from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m.
10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday, they're here. And you're right. It's way more efficient, right? Like the thought of commuting nowadays just seems like such a waste of time for me. But at the same time, I was having this conversation today actually is, the separation would be better. I do think that if I could have an office space in the building or right next door that I could kind of just go and get my, all my equipment, all my stuff is in there. So I can come home and it's organized and it's peaceful and it feels like a home, like a comfortable, cozy home. That would probably feel better. But I had two choices. Either I get office space in New York City and get a smaller apartment, or I get a bigger apartment and work from home. And I decided to get a bigger apartment and work from home. And it seems to be working so far. Just trying to create that separation within the apartment is really important, I think, because sometimes, we finish shooting, there's clothes everywhere. There's cables and lighting. And I'm like, man, it's like 6:30, 7 p.m. And now I got to put all this stuff away because I don't really want to leave it here for tomorrow. So it becomes an all day thing. And having that separation would be nice because I can just close the door, come home. But it just hasn't worked for me.
Well, that's one of the issues I saw is that because I worked from home, a lot of times my girlfriend didn't know when it was work time and then just come to the bedroom and cuddle with me time. And it's like, I'm on a call with 100 dudes. I had Bulgarian on one time and he's like doing a call with me. And my girlfriend's like, let's go do fun things. Cause she sees me at home. So she thinks it's like home time, or I'm doing work in the bed. Like I'll be in bed, I'll answering emails in my bed on my phone because there's no office. And you're right. Exactly. It's like difficult for people sometimes when they're here to tell the difference between like work time and it's time to cook and play and all this other stuff.
For sure. I have friends that come over sometimes too and show up unannounced. And I'm like, I feel bad, but like, I'm sorry, dude. Like this, it's like in the middle of a work day. I'm literally shooting. There's people here. I have deadlines, especially nowadays, around this time of the year. Brands want their stuff, right? It's the holiday season. They need their content right now. It's like hurry up and wait. Like the negotiation takes forever. The creative coming up with the creative takes forever. But then as soon as we set on, we're shooting this video, we've negotiated, we signed the agreement. They want it within like 72 hours, and so there's a lot of work to be done. And I feel bad sometimes because obviously social life does take a hit, right? And when people come over and show up, I'm like, nice to see you. Like I'm busy though. I'll see you later. I'll hit you up on the weekend.
Yeah, that part is kind of crazy. They think it's all fun because you're a content creator. They think you don't have a schedule. That kind of thing happens. And the other thing that I find it's really hard for me, Alex, is the thing you said about how long things take. And if you've ever dealt with like groups of people who are like, yeah, I'll be there in 20 minutes. I'm like, dude, it'll take you 20 minutes just to get to your car in valet. Like they don't have a realistic grasp of how long things take.
It's funny, the amount of people that think that, so you just gotta like sit in your room and just shoot a video, right? Like it's not that hard, right? You just sit on your bed and shoot a YouTube video. Back in the day when I told people I was a YouTuber, I mean, they would kind of laugh, right? Because this was back in the day. Like I'm an OG YouTuber. I've been doing this for a while. People didn't know you could even make any type of money, of income from social media back in the day when I started. And nowadays it's a little bit more common. They understand the business side of things a little bit more, but even to this day, they're like, oh, it can't be that difficult, right? But the truth is, there's a lot. If you really want to be a great content creator, great influencer, let's call it, with a business that's sustainable and that's in it for the long run, you can't just be shooting quick little videos and posting them on your YouTube, or a TikTok or whatever. You really got to put a lot of thought behind it and make sure that it's sustainable, that growth that you're having.
One of the things, I recommend for people is like intern for people who know better than you and try to learn from them. So, we have doctors go through a residency before they come full-fledged doctors. You'll see that happen often. One thing you did, another thing is, I used to live in Los Angeles, and the people that I knew that got the most roles as actors, they worked at a casting agency. So they knew what the casting director wanted. You had the advantage, and I would love for you to describe this. You worked at Google and at YouTube before you became a YouTuber. So there's things in the algorithm that are probably a mystery to us that you probably knew better coming out of that situation.
Yeah, probably coming out of the situation. It's just like they changed the algorithm so quick nowadays that it's honestly anything that I knew back then, it doesn't apply. And it didn't apply probably pretty much immediately after I left, within just a couple of months. So just to give some context, I started my YouTube channel around 2011, 2012, and it was just like I was just fucking around. I was just having fun. I was just posting like gaming videos on YouTube, just having fun. And then I realized that it could turn into something. You know, a lot of people were tuning in, and they liked what I was saying about Call of Duty or whatever. And I'm like, okay, let's put some effort into this. And I continued to post YouTube videos for a long time, and continued to work as I had a 9 to 5 at the time. YouTube, I wasn't making any money on YouTube. It was like $200 a month.
Yeah,
You know,
just so you guys know, like if you get 2 million views, I mean, unless you have like a certain type of product, even with 2 million, I'm around 2 million views, you're not even going to make $10,000. You're not even going to make like $7,000 or $8,000 from that. You need to have a secondary business. We'll get to that. Dude, you have so many sponsorships on there. It's crazy. We talk about like, you need to have sponsorships. For me, obviously, Men of Action, my coaching program, subsidizes my YouTube channel. That's where I get from. And maybe the 4 or 5 grand I make from AdSense is like nothing compared to the rest of it. But yeah, just going back to what you're saying.
Yeah, and to make it worse, dude,
YouTube screws you. Yeah, go ahead.
It screws you. And then also, just to make it worse too, I was posting. I'm Brazilian. I grew up in Brazil, and so I was posting content in Portuguese, right? So my audience was Brazilian. Ads in Brazil are just not as expensive as ads in the US. They're just not that far, up yet. And when it comes to social media, so I was literally getting decent views, but my CPM was extremely, extremely low, and so I couldn't survive off of that. So I've always had 9 to 5 jobs. Sometimes I had 2, 3, 4 jobs, working as a landscaper, worked as a bouncer, worked at every retail store you can think of while I was doing YouTube and trying to figure it out. And then I actually started working in the gaming industry. I started working for a media company called Machinima back in the day, because they watched one of my videos. They needed
I'm very familiar.
Portuguese.
I'm very
exactly.
familiar. Yeah. Love
so
Machinima.
I was hosting, yeah, man, it was such like the golden age of YouTube, especially when it came to gaming. But I would host video gaming news shows for Machinima in Portuguese. And, they were looking for a Brazilian guy who lived in the US, who understood gaming. I got kind of lucky. I was like the only one back in the day. So I moved to LA to fulfill that role. And it was great because I got to learn a lot about the ins and outs of YouTube on the back end. So I learned a lot about that. And then I started working for Major League Gaming. And then I started working for Google and YouTube Gaming. Now, when I got the call I actually got a message to interview for a role, which was to manage big YouTubers in the gaming world. And I said, I'll take the job, I'll take the interview if I can continue to post on my YouTube channel. If I can't, then I don't know if I would accept the job. And they said, the reason why we're messaging you right now is because you understand the platform. You understand gaming, you understand the platform of YouTube because you post there. And so we would like for you to be that middle person between YouTube, this corporate, place, and creators, because you understand creators. So I got the job. I was there for 3 years, and I learned as much as I could while I continued to pursue growing my own YouTube channel. That's also around the time when I switched my content from gaming to vlogging to more fashion and lifestyle. And that's really when it clicked. And within 3 years, I was able to quit my job at Google, which was obviously a pretty difficult, step. It was, my mom was like, "What are you doing? You're quitting Google? You're insane," and she was probably right at the time. It was a difficult choice, but obviously it paid off,
That's incredible, man. That's really great. Taking a chance on yourself like that. Reading your story is pretty amazing. So you can talk about this. You moved from Brazil. You and your mother moved from Brazil, and I guess your father moved over here with you too. Where did you guys move originally? To Miami, to Florida? How did that whole thing go about?
We probably should have moved to Miami, honestly, but we moved to Cape Cod, Massachusetts. So it was like secluded. There was nothing there. My mom came one time to visit. We had an uncle in Cape Cod, and she came to visit, and it was snowing. She fell in love with it, and she was just pissed off with Brazilian politics, and she didn't see a future for us there. So 8 months later, we moved to the US. This was August of 2001, 2 weeks before the attacks in the towers that actually sit not too far from, the memorial sits not too far from me now. And that was also a pretty difficult time, right? Being an immigrant around that time, we weren't liked in the US, right? So I didn't speak English. I was like, I don't, these guys are bullying me, and I know that, but I actually have no idea what they're saying. So it's fine. Like it doesn't even hurt. And it was an interesting time. So we moved to Cape Cod. We actually got a 1-bedroom within a 2-bedroom apartment for 5 of us. So it was me, my dad, my mom, my 2 brothers, and myself in this one bedroom for a little while until we were able to get a place. And that's when I realized that this wasn't going to be what I thought it was. When my mom said we're moving to the US, I was like, amazing. You know, I have all these ideas from movies and the yellow buses that pick up kids to go to school and these big cars and amazing things and McDonald's, you know. And then I move here and I'm like, okay, this is going to be way tougher. My dad became a dishwasher. My mom was working at the cafeteria in the school that I used to go to, in the middle school that I used to go to. So slightly embarrassing, you know, for me to go to get lunch. And my mom she wasn't even serving lunch. She was like in the back doing things. And it was definitely an emotional time for the family. My dad actually never liked it, went back to Brazil. They got a divorce. He went back to Brazil. So it was a pretty tough move and transition for sure.
So, and then in doing so, you live here. Did you go to college anywhere before you went and started working at Google?
Yeah. So when I moved here, I went to middle school. I started on 7th grade, and then I went to high school, and I started going to Cape Cod Community College for criminal justice. I wanted to be a lawyer. That was the goal. And when I started going to community college and with that goal, and the reason why I went to community college, by the way, is because I didn't have my green card yet. And it wasn't a given that I was going to get my degree, even if I went through the entire period and graduated. I still wouldn't get a degree because I didn't have my proper documentation. We had a social security, but that was kind of it. So within that time, we had to leave the US because our visa expired, and we went back to Brazil. So I stopped going to college, went back to Brazil, and I had 2 years off in a way to just like, I was teaching English. I was doing what I could. I started playing video games on the side just for fun. And that's actually when I started posting video gaming content. It was while I was in Brazil. So I turned, in reality, something that was actually pretty bad. I was like, man, I can't believe we have to go back to Brazil. Like, I just went to middle school and high school and I was going to college. Now I got to go back to Brazil and wait for my green card, which took 2 years. And I was able to take that and finally turn it into something good, you know, which was, funny enough, playing video games and posted on YouTube, and it actually became something, even though at the time no parents wanted you to do that, you know, because there was no social proof that it would actually work. So,
Man, I couldn't even imagine. I'm 46 years old. If I could go back and like play Legend of Zelda online for money, bro, I would have
right.
lost. Play Madden 94. I would. That's all I'd be doing.
Dude, the thing is, like, I wasn't making money though.
Yeah,
You know, I was just like promising. I'm like, no, there's something here. Like, I'm gonna keep doing this. So I got back to the US after 2 years in Brazil, and I went back to college, and I was going back to criminal justice. I started taking a course on to become an EMT. I was working as a landscaper. I had my gaming thing. All of that was happening at the same time. So I was hungry, man. I was really, really on it. And I don't even know if I have that energy today, you know, like I was really, really on it and doing things like physical work. Right. And it was tough, but I look back at it now, I'm like, I'm so glad I did that because it worked out. But if it hadn't worked out, it would have, you know, it would have been pretty tough. Yeah.
I'm interviewing Flex Lewis on Wednesday. He's a 7-time world champion bodybuilder, and he talks about his early inspirations of seeing like WWF and seeing Rambo and seeing Arnold Schwarzenegger that kind of changed his mind. For me, I got into the space of male improvement because I used to work at different jobs where I would see men falling behind or women saying one thing and doing a different thing, that kind of stuff. There was an inspiration for me. Alex, what was the inspiration for you? Because I know you were doing video game stuff, and I've heard you in a different interview talk about something happened where it just felt better for you to talk about, you know, style, fashion, hair.
For sure. It was, by the way, a very gradual thing, very slow. It wasn't like a key moment in my life that I'm like, God, that's it, you know? So after gaming, within gaming, I had my idols, right? In Brazil, we had a lot of gamers that were doing very well. And by very well on YouTube back then, I mean like 30,000 subscribers, 50,000
Bro, 30,000 back in like 2012.
Do you remember that?
Bro, you were balling.
No, I'm like,
bro,
this guy, 30,000, that's crazy, you know?
Yo, man, it was crazy, bro. I was with Bilzerian back in 2013 when he hit 1 million followers on Instagram. And he was just like, and we were like, it was a dude has 1 million followers on Instagram. It's crazy. Yes,
I remember those times. I followed him and I'm like, this guy is living the life. Like, this is what every guy wants, you know? I was like, who is this guy? How does he do it? I mean, every guy was probably feeling the same way, right? Because that was like at the beginning of Instagram, and we didn't really have influencers like that yet. So he was like, he's an OG. So for me, I had those gamers. So I'm like, okay, there's like a little bit of a North Star there on YouTube. Like I see what they're doing. It's working well for them. They're working with little brands already, making a little bit of cash. But I just hated gaming after a while. I'm like, if I have to look at this loading screen one more time from GTA 5, I'm gonna throw my computer off the window. Like I can't do it. So I
Wait, you were
started.
doing GTA 5 streaming?
I did GTA 5. I did Call of Duty.
Ooh.
I hated it. I even tried Minecraft, like a couple of videos, and I was like, I can't do this.
It's rough, yeah. You know,
I
GTA 6, the trailer was leaked
that's
today. Supposed to come out in a couple of days. It was $2 billion budget for that video game. Like
that's
when that comes out, it's
insane.
going to ruin all
Did
of
it
our
leak
businesses.
today?
You know that,
Really, I haven't
Alex?
even seen the news today. It
Yeah,
leaked today because
yeah.
I
It
knew it
leaked
was coming
today.
out tomorrow. Wow, that's nuts. I
Alex, it's
can't
going to
see.
ruin all of our businesses. All of our
No, no, no.
clients are just going to get fat. I told my
Hey,
clients, I was like, we're going to have 30-man lobbies where I'm just going to coach over the headset in the lobby because we're all just going to be playing let's all go rob team building exercise. We're going to go do a heist together.
I feel like within like a year, you're actually going to have way more clients than ever. Because after a
Yeah.
year playing GTA 6, they'll be like, "Oh shit, I should probably take care of my gut now." Like I should leave the house. So I don't know. I feel like your profits are going to go way up.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy? $2 billion for a budget for
Yeah,
one
it's
video
insane.
game.
Yeah, it's insane.
Yeah.
So obviously there's a lot of money in video games in general, right? And I learned that by working with Machinima and working at Major League Gaming. It's just on a personal level, I was just like, I'm sick of this. Like I can't do this anymore. And I just fell out of love with gaming after working in the gaming industry for so long, behind the scenes and in front of the camera, that I was just like, let me just talk about my life in the US. And to Brazilian people, that was interesting. I literally could show me going to the grocery store and show what life is like in the US for somebody who immigrated from Brazil. And they were like, oh, that's actually very interesting. So started vlogging and showing more about my life. But there was one point I switched my content from Portuguese to English. And there's a lot to unpack there, but basically the reason being the CPMs were way too low. And if I ever wanted to make this my career, there is no chance I was going to be able to do it in Portuguese. There was just no chance. Brands wouldn't pay me as much. CPMs weren't high enough, so AdSense would not be enough for me to cover my expenses in Los Angeles. So I switched to English, took a leap of faith, which was a really, really tough decision as well, and started posting vlogs and content in English. At some point, I showed people how I did my hair or what I was wearing or like my favorite brands for clothing, because they were asking me, Alex, for a video game guy, like you take pretty good care of yourself. How do you stay in shape? What do you do to your hair? And at the time, I'll be honest, I did not look good. Like I go back and I'm like, why did they even ask? But I get it for specifically gamers too. They just didn't know what to do. So I started talking about that, and that's when my channel really started to take off, because within that same vein, within the same audience of like guys 18 to 34 who watch my gaming videos, maybe even younger for gaming, they also needed to level themselves up. They were also looking for ways to, what can I do to go on a first date? What can I do to get a job interview and then nail the job interview and look really good? And they found a safe space to talk about that within my YouTube channel, which is something that was pretty rare back in the day. It's a safe space for guys to talk about how to look good. And I remember posting my first ever like fashion photos on Instagram and fashion videos on YouTube around 2015, 16. And man, I got so much hate. They were just like, why is a dude posting fashion content on YouTube? Like, there's no way you're straight. There's no way you're this. Like, you definitely, and I'm like, okay, maybe I made the wrong choice here. I don't know. Like, maybe I don't think this is going to work out. I was just a little bit ahead of the curve. And soon enough, it picked up, in that wave of self-development and wave of men who want to look good.
Yeah.
Picked up, and thankfully I was ready to ride that wave.
So just to help some of the people who aren't familiar with Alex's content, it's not like, I thought it was going to be hyper fashion stuff, but no, it really is wash your face 3 times. Here's how you shave your beard. Here's things to accentuate your jawline. Here's the way a suit is supposed to fit. You don't need expensive stuff. So I thought it was great. I thought it was very much everyman's style type of stuff, instead of like extremely effete New York Fashion Week, like stuff I'm like super trendy. It wasn't like that at all. The gray suit, the black suit, the navy suit, like that kind of stuff is where you where your core competency was. So I really appreciate it. My girlfriend and I are watching the stuff right now. She just
Thank you,
washed
man.
my face
Yeah.
twice. She washed my face twice this morning.
Right before the call.
Yeah, right before the call. So that's a real great thing. Also, I want to go over one thing for those of you who are interested, because I am encouraging a lot of you guys who are in the program. If you're thinking about starting a podcast, do it. And if you're thinking about getting on YouTube, do it. When he was talking about CPM, if you do CPM on dating advice or gaming, that million views is going to get you X amount of money. But if you got a million views and you're selling luxury watches, luxury cars, golf equipment, stuff like that, your CPM is going to be 10x, because advertisers want to sell to wealthy audiences like that. So just like that's another thing. Like I'll tell you guys, if you want to come on here and start talking about like red pill content, you're not going to make a lot of money from YouTube. Their advertisers don't want to really get behind that. So unless it's like Blue Chew or Pornhub or something, they're just not going to get behind that. So that's the reason why the place where you specialize, you can make so much. I know a friend of mine, he has a podcast on accounting. Very small audience. The guy has more clients than he can possibly count because his audience is so wealthy and they need his help. So that's another thing that's really important. When you switched over to fashion, I'm imagining your CPM went up pretty high compared to the number of views.
The big reason why my CPM went up a lot higher was because I started doing it in English, right? So from Portuguese to English, it was a massive, massive difference. So that's something that you guys should also take a look at before you start your YouTube channel and find your niche, is where do you want your audience to be, right? Because if you're advertising in Australia, the US, the UK, you're probably getting paid pretty good money for those ads. But if you're advertising to countries that are just not as developed yet, those ads are going to be cheaper and your CPM will be a lot lower. And Brazil was a part of that. So it was a difficult decision for me. When I started posting videos in English, my Brazilian audience was so upset. You know, they were like, "You traitor, I can't believe you did that. Like, you moved to the US and then you just leave us." And I was like doing subtitles, and bro, it would take me so long to do the subtitles because I had to do it by hand back in the day.
Yeah.
So there's no AI, there's none of that. So I'm like writing, and there's no editors. I had to do everything myself, right? I was a one-man army at the time, and it was time consuming to put the subtitles and do everything for them. And they were like, "We hate you." You know, I would take 8 hours editing a video. I'd post a video and then I would lose hundreds of subscribers as soon as the video went live because it was in English. So it was a definitely trial times right there, man. It was not very conducive to like being creative and coming up with video ideas. I was like, these guys just hate me. But over time, thankfully, it all switched up. And I have a much larger US audience now, and English speaking audience now, and the CPMs are higher for that type of audience. So it worked out.
That's the other thing. If you see some of these streamers, they're like little kids when they start streaming, you know, and the kids stay at home and play video games. And then later on, the streamers are out like dating hot girls and driving Lamborghinis. You know what I'm saying? Like, just think about like the glow up from the 6-second Vine videos that King Batch and Logan Paul are doing to now they're just like throwing huge mansion parties. And a lot of times their audience feels betrayed. They're like, "Yo, bro, you were innocent and chilling. Like, now you got like a super hot girlfriend and you don't make the same kind of videos." And that happens like as a content creator, especially I'm seeing this a lot with these young streamers, is that a lot of those guys who live out in Miami, is that as they grow as human beings and they started getting to like real estate investment, or they start getting into the gym all the time, their audience is like, "Wait, you're growing up? No, bro, I just want to play COD. What are you talking about here? I want to play Fortnite." You know, so that's something that definitely happens. So you changing from Portuguese to English, I could see that happening also.
For sure. Yeah, it changed everything. And then also, you know, it's interesting. I was looking at my YouTube data last week and just seeing like the age groups, and my audience has grown older with me. Right. So back in the day, my audience was a lot younger, obviously because of gaming. And then they got slightly older when I started talking about fashion. But now it's even slightly older because I'm talking about a specific type of fashion. It's not typically the Gen Z type of fashion that I do, right? Because that's not who I am. So if I'm talking about a millennial type of fashion, that's just the kind of audience that I'm getting. And so that's really important as well. It's like, what kind of audience do you want? Right? Who are you, and what's your personal brand? What do you want to show to everybody on YouTube, on Instagram, on TikTok? Building that audience is so important, and focusing on who you want to attract. The hardest thing to do is what I did. And sometimes I'm so lucky that I was able to push through, but building an audience and then trying to switch it, that's so tough. Because if you have an audience that's 95% female, right? Because all you do is post shirtless selfies and thirst traps for girls, and you're super ripped and good looking, right? And then you're like, "Well, I'm going to become a men's fashion influencer now." good luck, man. The Instagram algorithm is going to be pushing you to girls because that's what your audience is. So it takes a long time, a lot of hard work to be able to switch audiences. So it's really important that just figure out your niche early on and see what works and really build that specific audience instead of switching later on.
Alex, I'm curious if you've heard of these two terms because you're kind of involved in this, even if you're not aware of it. Have you heard of the term LooksMaxing? And have you heard of the term black pill? Have you ever heard either one of those terms?
I've heard of LooksMaxing for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not black pill.
So black pill is the concept that only women care about looks and there's nothing else to it. And if you're not good looking, you should just give up. And so the reason why, the way you counter that is through LooksMaxing, which is something that you talk about a lot and something, one of the real great reasons. I just had Fit X Fearless. I don't know if you know who he is. He goes over a lot of the things. The two of you both have a video where you talk about ball fades, making your jawline look more defined. It's very, the two of you both have videos talking about your beard hair and the way you should do it. Can you go over some simple things that men can do that would actually make their face look better? And also, we just had a question on YouTube about losing weight and what that does to your face.
For sure. And that was actually going to be my number one answer here. The first thing that you can do, the thing that will make the biggest difference is, of course, getting in shape, and that's obviously going to go well for your body. You're going to look more ripped. You're going to have more energy. You're going to look healthier. Girls obviously also tend to prefer that, I would say. And then it also slims down your face. It showcases your jawline more. So it just makes you look more masculine, stronger, etc. So having a lower body fat will for sure change your face. Now, if you're already kind of there, if you don't have a lot of body fat to lose, I would say the second thing would be your hairstyle. I remember when I changed my hairstyle, and I thought I had horrible hair when I was growing up, and when I was in my 20s even, because first of all, there were no guys on YouTube telling me what to do. Like, I had no idea. My dad had no idea. So I'm just like, what I got is what I got. Like, whatever, I'll just buzz it off. Went to military school, so I used to buzz it myself. I used to sit on the toilet, kind of look down and just buzz it myself, because I had to, every 2 weeks, you had to cut your hair, and they would actually check that and make note of it. And it got to a point where I just kept it super short after that because I didn't know what to do with it. But once you change your hairstyle, when you find a hairstyle that suits your specific face shape, that makes you look better, man, it changes your entire face. If you have a rounder face shape, for example, when you elongate it by adding length up top, by adding that volume, it changes your face shape. It literally gives that illusion that you don't have a round face shape. And that can be achieved through hairstyle and also through your facial hair, right? I tend to keep some type of facial hair. Sometimes it's a little longer, but sometimes I have a stubble, because it accentuates my jaw, because it makes me look more masculine, because it makes me look like I have a sharper jawline. So those are simple things that you can do immediately. Eyebrows. A lot of guys don't think about eyebrows, right? You can get your eyebrows done. I know a lot of guys are like, what do you mean get my eyebrows done? No, I don't mean you don't have to go and get them, I don't even know, laminated or threaded or whatever. You don't even have to do that. But if you have a unibrow, pick the middle, the hairs in between them. Like, you should have two of them, not one. Little things like that honestly make such a big difference. And guys sometimes don't even know until they maybe, hopefully, if a girl accepts them, find a girlfriend. And then the girlfriend's like, you should dress better. Like, you should do your hair. You should do this. And then they're like, oh, I should do this. And that's kind of what happened to me. I looked okay. I worked out, but I didn't know these little tricks. And I learned them through dating different girls, and they were teaching me, and I was learning. And then I started doing my own research to be able to also teach guys online.
Yeah, guys, for those of you, obviously we talk about networking as an evolutionary adaptation in the program. When you look like you get it, when you look like you have the physique that you get it, and a relevant haircut and, facial hair, whatever, women are going to see, hey, this guy probably has higher social alignments and, is more pleasant to look at, and showing signs of like a strong jawline. What does that show? That's better genetics. And that's the reason why they have that. Also with the eyebrow thing, there's things that you can do that kind of show your brow a little bit better. They call it hunter's eyes. There's stuff like that that you can do. And then the other one that I really like that you talked about was, because I'm a former Air Force officer, is the ball fade, accentuating your jaw.
For sure. So if you have a fade on the sides and it's a little bit shorter, basically just accentuates your jaw. If you have a poofier, right? If it's bigger on the sides, it creates a round face shape. So what you don't want is, you don't want anything that's too round, anything that's too long. Your face shape needs to be symmetric, and you can kind of play around with your facial hair and your hairstyle to fix that. Typically, I would say the majority of men tend to go too short with their hair. That's typically what happens when they're like, I don't know what to do with my hair, so I'm just going to go really short. And it doesn't suit every face shape. It doesn't suit every guy. So the majority of men who are like, what can I do with my hair? I will say that 80% of the time, I'm like, you just grow the top a little bit longer. That's it. That in itself will give you more variety, more to play with. Women love it. They like playing with your hair. And it's just something that every guy should try at least once as well, just growing out their hair just a little bit longer, just to see what it looks like.
There's also some studies that show that women prefer some facial hair. And it doesn't mean like in order, like obviously there's a lot of women who like when guys are clean shaven, but they like some. It doesn't mean it has to be a big old thick beard, but in surveys, women do like some facial hair. I remember, growing up in the 80s, nobody had a beard. You either had a beard or you had nothing. The whole stubble thing that with the whole player look that we have now, this wasn't really a thing back then, but now it's like, I see everybody doing this.
The player look, huh? I
Yeah.
like it.
Yeah. That's
I think for guys, like what happens is they'll like get one hairstyle, one haircut, right? And then like one t-shirt in multiple colors, and then like, all right, I'm good for like years. Right. Like I'm just gonna keep wearing the same t-shirt in different colors. I'm gonna keep getting the same haircut at the same place. And that's the opposite of LooksMaxing. That's just you like being complacent, right? So I would say like it's good for you to just try new things out, see how it looks. And you don't have to go all out, by the way, right? Sometimes I'm saying this stuff and guys are like, that's so much work and you got to do all this and that. Like, do a little bit of a time, see what works for you. Sometimes shorter hair does work better for you. And you find out what complements your face shape, your body type better.
another great piece of advice you talked about was chewing gum for your jaw.
Yeah.
I've never heard that before. That's a great idea.
Yeah, so it's a muscle, right? So you can develop that muscle. I would say number one is definitely losing body fat. That will for sure enhance your jawline. But if you're
And
chewing
sodium
gum,
intake. You mentioned that too, sodium intake.
yeah. So but chewing gum like definitely works those muscles, and it does make your jaw look slightly larger and more defined as well. So that's something that you can do.
And the concept, obviously a lot of men don't wash their face. Can you talk about clear skin and how important that is? Again, for those of you guys who've been with me for the last 3 years talking about this stuff, we don't go over this enough. There are things that you can do with what you're working with to do the best you can. And so what is something here where men are neglecting themselves?
Yeah, and we can talk about this a little bit. I think a lot of guys, because we're men, and like we especially millennials, right? We grew up like, I don't know about you guys, but like my dad didn't teach me anything about like glowing up, looking good. To this day, he doesn't really know what to wear or what to do, and that's okay, right? In today's world, though, if you want to get that high level job, if you want to be the top 1%, you have to act like it and you have to look like it, right? So I even if you're going for a job interview, do you know what kind of suit to wear? Do you need to wear a suit? What kind of job is it? If you're going to a job interview at Google, you shouldn't wear a suit. They'll laugh at you. But what are you going to wear? You can't wear flip-flops. So you have to find exactly what works for that specific situation. And I think a lot of guys just forget that there's a lot of things you can do with what you have going on now, with the tools that God gave you to just enhance them and look and make them look better. So little things like, for sure, getting a tan, right? If you're going to be shirtless somewhere and you're super pasty white, it's like, all right, it looks like you've been playing GTA 5 for the past 6 years, so being outside in the sun, making sure that you're using lip balm so your lips aren't all cracked and chapped, like no girl's going to want to make out with you that way. Little things like that guys just forget. And I love when I get comments from guys either in person or on YouTube, and they're like, man, I changed my hairstyle because of you, and I got a date. I'm excited. I'm going on this date next week, and she really liked my hair. Or I got a fragrance that you recommended, and I got a compliment on it the other day, and it was this beautiful girl. Little things like that do make a difference. They make a huge difference. But again, let me stress the point that you don't have to go all out, because a lot of guys get overwhelmed because it's not something that we grew up doing. But just take it slow. Just small improvements over time. It's like compound interest, right? They'll get you there, and then all of a sudden you're like, I'm 35. When I look at myself when I was 25, I look way better now than 10 years ago. 25. That's crazy, right? I wish I knew then what I know now. It would have been a completely experience for my life. Like my dating opportunities would have been way better. You know, I would have felt way more confident. I would have felt like I fit in more, right? Because sometimes I'm like, these guys look so good, and I don't really know how to dress like them. I don't fit in, especially when I moved to LA. I was like, oh my God, like these guys actually look really good. I'm screwed. Like I don't have a shot. But I didn't know what to do about it. So I was just like, that's life, you know. And nowadays I have the tools to combat that. And I wish I did back then too. So now if you're growing up with YouTube, if you're growing up with social media and LooksMaxing, you know, that wasn't a term back then, not even that long ago. So it's like, it's really cool to see guys now being able to elevate themselves and glow up because of social media and because of the information that's out there.
So this is a completely different subject, and I wasn't going to ask you about this, but you brought up something that I think is really important. There's been a big controversy recently. My girlfriend is over 20 years younger than me. I didn't choose it that way. We just get along. She's from the South. I'm from the South. She's outrageously attractive, and it just worked out. There's a lot of people who find it offensive that I'm a 46-year-old man dating a 21-year-old girl, even though, you know, we get along. We rescue animals together. We've been together for over a year. The concept, you're 35 now. I have some clients in their early 30s, and they're like, the time has passed me by. I'm too old for these ladies. I'm sure, Alex, have no doubt whatsoever, your experience is much different with stuff like that, being older men dating younger women.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And also just to kind of frame this, you know, I'm Brazilian. Like when I go to Brazil, it's like, okay, these guys are way older dating girls that are way younger, and it's fine. It's just part of the culture, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's normal, and also this has been happening. This isn't a new concept, right? Like older guys have been dating younger girls forever, so it's not a new concept. And I think that's just an excuse. I think you're just hiding from the fact that you could actually improve yourself, and if you want to date a younger girl, you're totally totally able to do that once you elevate yourself.
And they're attracted to you when you're older. This is another part a lot of guys
That's
are
so
not
true.
grasping this.
This is something that, you know, I didn't really realize until probably like a few years ago, not that long ago. It was in my 30s. So within the past 5 years, that, you know, even on like on Instagram, on dating apps, when I did join dating apps, they were looking for older guys, right? They set their range. So you know, you get a lot of younger girls who are looking for an older guy. Don't ask me exactly why. I think they're just looking for a guy who's more mature, who's got his shit together. But at the end of the day, that's just been how things work. And I think if that's what you're looking for, then you're gonna have to dress better. You're gonna have to look good, because you're gonna be competing with guys who are younger and probably in great shape and hungry.
Yeah, so the dating app data would show that women peak between the ages of 23 and 25, where they get their most right swipes, and men between the ages of 38 and 44. The reason why is because, like, for instance, I'm 46 and my body fat's around 10, 11%. If a woman sees that, and like I got some scars on my head, like whatever, if a woman sees that, from her ancestral brain is going to be thinking, I have a better chance of surviving with a man who's been through this much conflict and lived this long and still has good enough genetics to not be overweight in his 40s. This is probably better genetics for my children, and more likely to be someone who can provide, and protect me. That's the reason why I believe women are into that. There's also another study that shows that over 60% of men under the age of 30 are single, but only 33% of women under the age of 30 are single. So who are they dating? They're either all dating the same guy, or they're dating older men. So that's one of the other things where the reason why I bring this up, Alex, is recently there's been this huge pushback. If you're dating a girl who's 10 years younger than you, then all of a sudden they're saying words like manipulation and grooming. And I'm like, I have no idea. My girlfriend is so much more advanced than I was when I was 21. She is ready to start different things in her life, like owning a home and starting a family, that I had no interest in when I was in 21. I wanted to play video games and go to bars and chase women. I was like, she's so much further along than I am maturity wise when I was her age. So
for sure. And I do think that, yeah, women in general probably mature, you know, a lot younger than men, right? It just takes us a while to get there. Cause like you said, we are playing video games, literally just playing video games, playing sports outside, and just chasing girls for one night stands. You know, there isn't really a lot of like thought process behind the decisions of young men, at least not in my case. In my experience, I was just working a lot, but when it comes to my social life and my dating life, I was just like, going with the wind, just going with the flow, just having fun.
One other study is from Dr. David Buss's book, The Evolution of Desire, where he does a 37 culture study of back in 1989. And what they looked for was the age difference between men and their wives, and they correlated that to income or socioeconomic status. As men climb the socioeconomic status ladder, the age difference between them and their wife increased. When women climbed the socioeconomic ladder, they needed to men who made even more money than them. And it was about 1.68 to 1. So if she made 100 grand a year, she needed a guy who made about $168,000 a year. And this is why you see Rihanna, who was worth several hundred million, dating a billionaire. Whereas you would think as a woman makes more money, she's going to want a man who's poor. I'm sure you've seen in Manhattan, it's quite the opposite.
It's quite the opposite. Oh no, it's really, especially in big cities, in Manhattan specifically, dating here it's tough, man. It's tough. There's a lot of options if you are at the top 1%, if you're taking great care of yourself, if you're making a high income. But if you're not, it's actually really difficult. And I feel for a lot of the guys who just can't get on any dates. And even if you do book a date, you're spending hundreds and hundreds of dollars to get dinner and drinks somewhere, and then to maybe have a connection with someone. So it's not an easy game for the guys here in the city who are just not at the top yet, and they'll end up losing.
Yeah, it's interesting. I really wasn't going to bring this up before, but it's interesting you bring that up, and that is the crisis in short-term dating. In long-term dating, what you tend to find is that women end up with partners about the same relevant status as they are. But what you find in short-term dating is a large group of women preferring a very small group of men. The numbers would bear out that the top 10% of right swipes, the top 10% of men on dating apps get 63% of the right swipes. The top 20% of men get 83% of the right swipes, which means 80% of men are competing for 17% of women. Men right swipe 55% of the time. Women right swipe 5% of the time on these dating apps. And 80% of the men on the apps are deemed to be unattractive. There's only 4.5% of men that are so attractive that women would actually make the first move. And so because of that, it's almost like because of social media and because women have access to so many men and they can left swipe. Think about what that would do to you mentally, Alex. If you could left swipe that, and what am I talking about? You probably do this. The left swipe thousands of men, and they start thinking, oh, I'm better than these men. I could date any of these men. They would all commit to me, which isn't true. And so you get into this situation where there's this evolutionary mismatch where you have these women competing for like this very small group of men. And then when they date these men or sleep with them, then they complain about them because these men have so many options.
Yeah, and social media does play a big role in that, right? So Instagram is basically a dating app at this point as well, right? You're getting DMs, you're following girls because they're hot and you just want to see what they're up to, and then you're hoping that someday they will notice that you liked their photo or commented on one of their photos, when in reality, there's 60,000 other likes that she's not going to notice that you liked her photo. If a extremely hot girl liked one of my photos right now, I wouldn't even notice either. It's just, how am I going to see it? If you're at that level, you don't have notifications on, you're not really checking all your likes. So, when I see a lot of these girls posting whatever bikini content and there's hundreds of thousands of likes, I'm like, why are guys liking this right now?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, it hurts me.
It doesn't make any sense. Yeah.
I know it hurts me a little bit, but unless obviously like you like the person for who they are or whatever, I get it. But if you're just liking just because like you're hoping that she'll notice you, it pains me a little bit. But having said that, Instagram is a great tool for dating for sure, just not in that way. If you know how to use it properly, if you know how to build your personal brand, right? Like if you build it, they will come situation where you build something so cool and different. It's like your dating business card in a way, right? You have your whole profile set up properly, and when somebody looks at it, they're like, okay, this guy looks like he has a cool life, or he has his cool values, his family values, or he lives in New York. It seems like a cool place for me to be. That way, if you do that, then Instagram is an amazing dating app if you build it properly.
Yeah, I agree with you totally. That thing bothers me. If you guys want to know 100% correlation with who a woman is not sleeping with, it's the guy who leaves the heart eye comments on her photos. Yeah. 100% of the time, she's not sleeping with that guy. I've had arguments with some of my clients before. It was like, yeah, but you like some of them, right? You encourage them. I'm like, never. If I want to encourage a girl, do you know when I'm going to do it? When she comes to my apartment and sees me. Now, I'm not going to validate her on a photograph. guys, I want you to think about it like this. Men, when women give you attention, because women like attention. When women give you attention, it doesn't cost them anything. So their attention is kind of worthless. But when you give attention to a woman, it actually drops your value. You giving attention costs you something, whether or not you realize this. When women give you attention, it costs them nothing. Like, it really doesn't. So you're giving attention because she's giving attention. But when women give you compliance, I mean, they show up for the date, they don't flake on you, you know, they're physically attentive to you, and then eventually have sex with you. And those things, now she's complying. Woman having sex costs her something, just like you giving attention costs you something. And so if there's not an equal exchange, which there never is when you're liking a girl's photos who doesn't know you exist, there's never an equal exchange. And that's why it's just so ridiculous for you to do it. But I'm just like, I'm telling you right now, I don't like any girl's photos unless it is my girlfriend or a girl rescued an animal. If a girl rescued an animal, I like that photo. But there's no bikini photos I'm ever, and my female friends are like, why the fuck don't you like any of my photos? I'm like, I'll send you a message, or I'll tell you when I see you, but I'm not going to do it over IG. That shit is just crazy, bro. If you want to see dudes who like 100% don't get laid, just look at the comments on some of those photos.
Those are the guys. Yeah, for sure. And it makes sense, right? Because there's so many of them. What is she going to be like? Oh, let me check the profile of every single person who left a little heart eye. I'm like, no, she's not even going to notice. To her, it's a difference between, you know, 105 comments or 106. Like, it doesn't really make any difference whether or not you leave that comment there. And I think if you're interested in a girl and you think you have a shot, or even if not, if you just want to shoot your shot. But like, that's not the way to do it. You know, give her a follow, send her a DM, however you want to do it, reply to her story, but at least do that instead of just like blending in with the millions of other guys who are just posting, you know, comments.
I'm already seeing some of the questions here from Kenneth. Reply to the story is way better than liking the photo. Reply to the story, because there's this weird phenomenon with Homo sapiens. If you tell people, if I told Alex, I got this really cool video about you, he's going to watch it. I don't care if Alex has 50 million followers. When people make videos about you or your content, you're going to watch it. When you send someone their old content, there's this thing in your brain where like, okay, I'm going to look at this. And if you can send them a comment that does not directly validate their physical attractiveness, because that's what every other guy does, when you can do something like that, which is either teasing or going over something about them, maybe it's that they accomplished some goal. Maybe it's that they bought their first, like, I would love it if you guys liked photos of a girl who bought their own home instead of fucking renting, or bought their own home instead of buying a goddamn Gucci bag. That would be great. That's a photo I would like. That's a great example. That would be something, but that's not what you guys are doing. You just see big boobies and you're like heart eyes. And I can't believe, I talked to photographers and they're like disagreeing with me about this. I'm like, dude, you're completely wrong. The other thing is, somebody asked, what if girls tag you in their photos, and should you like it? If a girl tags you in the photo, definitely, if you're in the photo. But again, like what Alex said, reply to her story. That's a cheat code. One other thing, and I don't even know if Alex knows this, if you don't have open threads with girls, what happens is you can send one message and now the Instagram algorithm stops you from sending additional messages to the girl. With one exception, you can always reply to stories. You can reply to 1,000 stories and IG will never stop you from sending those messages.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's way more interesting too. She gets way less, maybe not after this video, but way less story replies, right? Than likes. It's just like, these girls are getting like 50 to 100,000 likes. She's not getting that many story replies. And also the way that Instagram shows you just a teaser of the message, right? She has to go through her folder of requested messages. And there's a little teaser. So those first little words are very, very important. Make sure that it's something that's interesting and eye-catching for her to click on it, because obviously she will have a ton of other messages, but not as many as likes. So if you want to show up, to get noticed, don't be liking photos and leaving, especially a comment with an emoji. That's just not going to get you anywhere. It's just not going to happen. I would love, you should get somebody on this podcast that has done
disagrees.
That. Like,
I'll give you one example. Like my friend Jessie Preston, she's my friend, and she got 1,000 cc boob jobs. So her boobs were huge. And I commented, "Hey girl, what happened to your boobs? Did they fall off? I thought you used to have boobs. What happened?" And she just could not stop commenting after that. Unless if you're teasing them, yes. Like my friend Caitlin Runk, she's like a fitness model. And I was like, "Hey bro, do you even go to the gym?" That would be appropriate. That's funny. You're being funny. Because obviously, this girl's like super fucking lean. But like what you don't want to do is, heart eyes, that kind of stuff. And by the way, women absolutely can do that. And it's totally fine. They don't lose any value for doing that. As women give attention, it doesn't cost them anything. When men give attention, you lower your value. Guys, just remember that. It's just to be the same thing as if guys knew or women knew that a woman just slept with any guy, just with no discernment whatsoever, she would lose her value, lose some value. A man who just gives his attention away to any woman just because she's attractive, he loses some value. So if you just keep that in your mind, then you understand, like, am I giving this girl attention just because her boobs are big? If I'm doing so, then she's going to see me as lower value. It's just a real simple equation like that. The other concept, go ahead, Alex.
No, I was gonna say it's so true, and that's why personal, like I keep going back to personal branding. It's just about taking care of yourself, you showing people who you truly are, and then building that Instagram profile that when they go there, let's say you do leave a message and she does notice you, what's the first thing she's gonna do is check your Instagram. So even if your message was amazing and your life just doesn't look good on Instagram, she's probably not going to talk to you, you know, and Instagram is so good for that because you can literally curate your page to look like whatever you want it to look like. So you can just post your best side. You can just show the highlight reel of your life, right? And that will be way more attractive than you posting food photos or photos of your dog. It's just not going to be as cool.
Yeah, guys, I want you to hear what he just said, because again, more debates about this, especially from the older guys who join my program. When a woman meets you, she's going to check your Instagram. Okay.
Immediately.
Now, I know you might be thinking that some of you younger guys will be like, well, no, I'm not doing Instagram. I'm on TikTok. TikTok's fine, but TikTok is not good for setting up dates because the way the DM feature works on there, it's very hard to connect with people. Like you have to both be following each other. And there's just so many DMs. It just doesn't work. And the DM notifications are in the same place with all your other notifications. So I just don't see shit on TikTok. Same thing on Twitter. But on Instagram, the DM is robust because they already have WhatsApp and they already have Facebook Messenger. So the DM abilities on IG are better. If you guys want to throw a huge party and have 100 girls show up, it's Instagram and nothing else. There's no other way. You're not doing that on Twitter. You're not doing that on TikTok. You're not even doing it on Facebook. You're only doing that on Instagram. That's why for dating and social circle type of stuff, Instagram is, at least for right now, is still the king.
For sure. And it's really easy to botch that too. So if you leave a message, they check your profile and you don't have what it takes, it doesn't really matter anymore. You know, she'll see, this is not really a guy that takes care of social media, unless you're one of those guys that don't really have a lot showing. You have like a few good photos, and that's really all it takes. A few good photos, you know, a few photos that portray who you are, a little bit about your life, your values. That's it. That's it. You don't have to have photos skydiving or anything crazy. You know, when a lot of times when I say build your profile for dating purposes or for business purposes, people think that they have to go all out and get photographers. Obviously, that's amazing and that's great, but that's not for everyone. So just remove anything that's bad, anything that people could look at and be like, this doesn't look right. This guy's weird. Anything like that needs to be removed, and just show your best side. That's the best thing you can do when it comes to building a profile on Instagram.
Yeah, guys, these blurry photos, if you want to take pictures where it's almost like a male thirst trap, you can do it if you actually know what you're doing. If you're Alex, you definitely can do that, right? Because you have clothes that look correct. They're blurry. They're like you with your arms around your buddies at a college football game, drinking a beer. Like, you have to understand, Facebook is where you keep those old photos of your family. Instagram is where you show access to scarce resources, competency, relevancy, and high status, and pre-selection, like meaning other women find you attractive. You're going to do that on Instagram. If you're using Instagram for anything else other than running a business, if you're using Instagram for anything else, you're missing the point. That's not what Instagram's for. Instagram is not for showing pictures of you and Nana. That's for Facebook. That's because Nana's on Facebook. Nana's not on Instagram, bro. Your grandmother's on Facebook. That's why you leave those photos there, and those big photo albums with 150. That's where that goes, right? The other thing I want to talk about is the middle class for men, as far as dating is concerned, as far as social media profiles is concerned, is gone. It is really, there is, like you talked about before, there's this small group of men that women look at and see, these guys are attractive. That's what they say on these dating apps. And then there's a large group of men that like don't even have photos for their avatar. Their Instagram looks terrible, or even the worst. I think is the worst. When they go take selfies with celebrities who don't even look interested standing next to them, or take selfies with girls who look like they're annoyed by them, that kind of social media is what I'm seeing. So there's no middle class anymore. There's just like, you either have awesome social media where it looks like you have a cool life, or it's just caca.
Yeah, and that's one of the first things that I talk about. So I have an Instagram course called Unlocked, and just teaches you how to build your Instagram profile, right? And one of the first videos is how to make your profile look good. Immediately, people with a bunch of underscores and different, characters in their usernames, you're losing out, right? If you're at a bar or out somewhere and a girl's like, "What's your Instagram?" and you're like, Michael42x37 dot underscore Sartain. Like, what? Make it simple as possible. First name, last name. Use characters only when absolutely necessary. A lot of people do like, like a bunch of different the same character together, or XXXX. I'm like, just try to minimize that as much as possible. That's number one. Number two is a profile photo. If it's something really far, if it's a far out wide shot, can't even see what it is, what's the point? It's so small already, right? When you leave a comment on someone's photo, you can barely see what's in there. So if they click on it and they see it a little bit bigger now, make sure to show your face, make sure that it's a close-up of you so they can see what you actually look like. Or, for example, for me, I'm in fashion, so I try to show a little bit more of my outfit as well so they can see that. Or, something with like my hair styled differently so guys understand, hey, this is a guy who's into fashion, into hair, whatever. And then another thing too is making sure that your bio says a little bit about who you are, or what your values are, because that's super important. A lot of guys would just go and, yeah. So for me, obviously it's business, right? So I'm men's fashion, grooming, New York City. I'm telling people exactly what I do, where I live, added a little Brazilian flag there to make sure that, people that were calling me traders, they remember, because I remember where I come from. So, I mean, we got the McLaren. I had to I had to show a little bit of the lifestyle there. But at the end of the day,
you got 99,000 likes. Guys, I promise you, if you go through here and you look at the girls who like this photo, you would be like, holy crap. Okay. Also, like, I like this, the little titles for the highlights. This is so important because people who want to get to that next level of knowing who you are, they're going to dig through these highlights, and you can put like incredible content in there. But yeah, a lot of this stuff, like, it's great. I mean, this stuff is in fashion. You guys obviously know I tell you guys a lot of photos like this showing where you are, not just who you are. It's just really great stuff, man. Yeah.
Thank you, man. Yeah, and by the way, this is, I'm an OG. I have been doing this for a very long time. When I say build your profiles, I don't expect your profile to look like this. So it's going to take a while. You're going to have to build it up and learn how to take your photos, learn how to make your videos if that's what you're into. Which, like you said, I think for me that there are three reasons for Instagram. The first one being for business, right? If you're trying to monetize it, if you're trying to monetize it in any way, whether you have your own business and you're trying to build that profile, for example, if you own a product and you're trying to sell a product, or if you're trying to provide education and you're trying to build a following. So that is for business. Two is dating, for sure. Instagram is the biggest dating app on the platform. People use it every day for dating. I met my ex-girlfriend on Instagram, for example. I slid in, and it worked out. And then third, I actually do think that Instagram is also great for friends, for meeting like-minded people. So meeting other high-value men, meeting other men who are on the journey to become better. I think that's so important. Maybe you move to a new city and you don't know anybody. Well, let me check out Instagram and see what's going on. It's going to feel a little weird. It's going to feel like, why am I going to message this guy, this random person? But maybe follow, see what's up, talk. Make friends, man. There's so many benefits to having a great Instagram profile, and I think you're missing out if you don't at least have a few really good photos up top.
Yeah, that's really great stuff, man. One thing I wanted to talk to you about, because I thought it was really interesting. When I first moved to Vegas back in 2011, August of 2011, one of the things that I noticed is before I knew everyone, it was hard for me to get into the VIP. It was hard for me to get into certain places. So I just decided one day to just start wearing 3-piece suits every single night I went out in Las Vegas. In the winter, it's great. In the summer, not so good. But I started doing that every time. And I went to a tailor. I found a tailor, and they tailored one of my suits perfectly. And then I took all my other suits there. And every day I would go out in Vegas in a suit. And I'm telling you, every security guard just let me walk by like it wasn't shit. I was on stage at every club, and I did this for years. That's the reason why I'm so hooked up here and why I host all these events here, is because I was basically crashing tables for like 3 or 4 years because of the way I dressed. There was just so many things that were happening, and it was just like so much good attention. There's a couple things. You talk about wearing a suit. You also talk about wearing a suit, but not necessarily with a tie or not necessarily with a shirt. And the other thing I want to go over is like the way, especially if you're a type of individual who maybe you have rounded off shoulders and maybe you have kind of a barrel chest. The suit can make your shoulders look wider and your waist look smaller, giving you like more of a V taper. And so that's really important. Can you go over the concept of wearing a suit?
Yeah, for sure. I think I remember when I was I had this girlfriend back in the day, and I didn't wear suits. I never really had to back in the day. And one time she was like, "Oh, I love guys in suits." And it almost made me mad. It made me jealous. I'm like, "Well, I don't wear a suit. So like you're not obviously not even talking about me, right?" But she just looked at guys, whether they were coming out of, their banking job or office jobs, and they just looked sharp. There's something about a suit that just makes you look sharp. And I see some guys here wearing suits in their profile photos, and it just looks good. It looks like you know how to take care of yourself. You look like you have a good job, that you know how to do a tie. And honestly, a lot of these younger men, they don't know how to do that. And a lot of my suit videos do well because guys have no idea how to wear a suit. I would say, nowadays, if you're a Gen Z, if you're slightly younger than I am anyway, then I think it's okay for you to wear a suit without a tie, for you to wear a suit even with a tank top in the summer. It's just like, it doesn't have that stuffy feeling to it. So don't think of a suit as like, oh, this stuffy thing that's like all the way up my neck, and it's I don't like it. It's for older guys. It's not. There's ways to make it more modern. If you add, boots, if you add sneakers, if you change the top and the bottom, I think those are really good ways to make it more modern and make it more interesting and even edgy sometimes if you want. I've seen suits with, all different types of details that just look very different from different designers. So I think a lot of guys should learn how to wear a suit and should learn how to customize it to their own personal style. The broad shoulders thing is such a big thing too, dude. Yeah, for sure. If you get a suit tailored, it changes the entire vibe, right? Getting your clothes tailored in general is something that guys should be looking into, because baggy pants that are too long, that are covering your shoes, your sneakers, it just looks sloppy. You can be in a Tom Ford suit. If it's not fit to your body, it's going to look like you just got it at H&M, and that's just the truth. So I would prefer you get a suit at H&M and get it tailored than wear a Tom Ford suit that's not tailored and it's just like drowning you in it. The fit is so important when it comes to suit.
Once you once you get one tailored, you can go back, show their tailor of the jacket, and you don't have to pay for an expensive tailor. I mean, most of them aren't expensive anyway, and you can get this done. This is far more important. If you live in Vegas, one of the things you'll notice is the nicer suit you wear, the more people want to spill their cranberry juice on your suit, right? So I prefer Kenneth Cole and H&M and Zara, because like my jackets get destroyed anyway. So that's one of the reasons why I do that. Trying to go through crowds in the city. But I always get complimented on these suits that I have that are less than $300. I constantly got complimented, and it's because of the way that it makes the fit works. Now, for you guys, there's studies that show that women, they try to accentuate their hip to waist ratio. And there's for again, that 37 culture study I referred to before, it's about a 0.72 hip to waist ratio that men prefer with women. And there's also studies that show in evolutionary biology that as women have a narrower hip to waist ratio, that they're actually more fertile. And so there's an evolutionary reason why we do that. So the contrapositive of that is women prefer a 1.65 to 1 ratio of shoulders to waist. So how can we do that? We can get our delts bigger, or we can lose some fat around the waist, and that ratio becomes bigger. I don't know if you guys have seen the study. Women report having more orgasms with men who have broader shoulders. And the other thing that shows broader shoulders, if you guys think about, if you get like a thick leather jacket, the leather actually a lot of times will make your torso, like a bowler or a bomber jacket, it'll make your torso look like a marshmallow. Even if you're in good shape, it'll make you look rounder. When you have a suit, it squares off the shoulder and actually gives you a couple of inches off to the side, which makes your whole body look like a V. And then there's another V with the lapels there. And these are things that like women tend to find more attractive, and the science shows it.
Yeah, the V shape is super attractive, right, to women. So I have a clothing brand called ATOS, and we literally, the first t-shirt that we ever made was made to accentuate that V shape in men. The seam on the shirt literally comes in and forward so that it shows, you can see the seam just going forward. It kind of looks like your obliques are going in, and you have that V shape.
I need to check that out, because the problem is for me, because I have big arms, dude, they give me these shirts that are like fucking dresses. You know what I'm saying? They're like fat around my waist. And I'm like, because
we'll send you some.
For sure. I would love that, man. Because the typical dude, for those of you who don't know, the typical man in the US is 60 pounds overweight. That's where we're getting to, like massive obesity. Women on average are 168 pounds. That's what these average, like I believe it's between ages 25 to 35. Obesity is an epidemic. So if you can actually show a small waist, especially for you guys who are a little bit older, to me, for a woman, think about it, if you're a woman and you saw a guy who was in his 40s and he was in shape when the rest of the country is obese, how incredibly attractive and how much more would that make you stand out? So I definitely think that's a huge thing. And the other thing is, Rollo Tomasi, he says this is a really great way to say it. What men think is that women decide whether or not they're going to sleep with a man in the first 30 seconds. That's not true. Women decide in the first 30 seconds if she's not going to sleep with him. And one of the things that'll do that, that'll disqualify you, is your look. When you wear a suit, a nice suit, that 30 seconds, it elongates. It's like you get more protection in the pocket. Like when you play quarterback, you have more time in the pocket because you're not being disqualified. Because I've never heard of a woman disqualifying a man because he looks good in a suit. Not in my whole life have I ever heard one. I've heard women disqualify men for having too many tattoos on the face, being overweight, taking too many steroids. I know a girl who disqualifies men who are over 6'5" because he thinks that they're arrogant. Women will disqualify you for anything. They will never disqualify a man for wearing a suit properly, not one time ever.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, when you look at prominent figures that wear suits, I think of Conor McGregor, for example, back in his heydays, when he was wearing those suits when he came out, I was like, damn, he looks so sharp. He looks so good and powerful, And I love the fact that athletes now wear suits to game days, and they look super presentable, and they look really sick and fashion forward if they want to with the suits. But I think it just shows that you know how to take care of yourself. And one thing too is being in shape. I mean, it just gives you so many advantages over other guys, right? So you're saying that guys are usually 60 pounds heavier than they should be.
Yeah, I believe it's a certain cohort of men. It's not all men, obviously.
It's going to go up after GTA 6 comes out.
Yeah, when GTA 6 comes out, bro, strip clubs are going to be empty. I remember when GTA 5 came out, and my friends were like, let's go out tonight. I'm like, why? I'm sure there's a nightclub somewhere here in Los Santos. And we found the Vanilla Unicorn and stayed in that bitch all night. It was so crazy, bro. If you guys know, put a 1 in the chat if you have been on, like, done a heist with your friends on GTA 5. Come on, guys. I'm telling the truth. You listen to Fresh and Fit, like, kind of talking bad about, guys sitting around playing video games. What is all of their content, like all of their graphics based on? It's GTA Vice City. So like it is like that, man. It's going to be crazy when that stuff comes out. Going back to what you were saying before, one of the things I actually like that you discussed was the effects of stress on a person. You talked about breathing, you talked about all kinds of stuff like this. You find that a lot of diseases are caused by stress, and you had some advice about dealing with stress.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm a pretty chill guy. Like I don't really get stressed, overwhelmed. I'm very focused. So I'm lucky in that way. But I when I do get stressed, when it happens, I notice the difference immediately in the way that I look, in the way that I feel, my energy levels. There was one point in my life that I was very stressed, and I started losing some hair, and I was like, what's going on here? Like, am I actually balding, or am I just stressed out? And it turns out that I was just stressed out. And so I started doing some research on it, and you can literally just start losing all your hair, getting pimples, getting dark circles under your eyes, just from being stressed out. Right. And it's something that I talk about because men are typically very stressed out, especially in their late 20s, when they're like, we have to figure out what my career is, I have to figure out my dating, what's going on here. You get stressed out as a provider. That's something that you think about a lot. And it shows. It really shows. You don't get enough sleep. You get dark circles. Your eyes just don't look as good. Your hair falls out. So I think it's something that you should look into if you're stressed out. I do believe in therapy personally. I think it's something that is good for you to talk to someone, even if it's just sharing something with a friend and having a little therapy session with a friend. It doesn't have to be anything in an actual therapist in a therapy clinic. I just letting it out, talking to people, I think is something that's super important.
Alex, I do actually want to ask you about therapy because it's something I'm interested in. But one of the issues that I've had, and I've just talked to other guys about this, is that often therapists don't understand a man's burden of performance. You have a burden of performance. You have to produce for your sponsors. Do you have an issue with that, where it's like a therapist is telling you to be more vulnerable, and it's like, no, they'll just take everything I have and steal my girlfriend. I can't be more vulnerable. Like, do you have an issue with that, where your therapist kind of understands your burden of performance?
I think it's something that you have to set forth right away. They have to understand who you are and what you're all about immediately. Otherwise, it's just, if they don't have the full picture, they're just not going to be able to give you great advice. So it's really important to make sure that you're talking to someone who understands who you are, what you do, and what you're going through, and why you're stressed out. Full picture. But then also, I think it's also really important to hone in on the specific issue, right? So if you're talking about a relationship and it doesn't have much to do with business, then maybe that's all you talk about, and you don't really bring up the business stuff, and they'll be able to give you good advice on that.
That's good, because that's something I'm looking into. It's just, I got a bad taste in my mouth about therapy after that whole Jonah Hill situation, where it was like he was just telling her, hey, I just like it if you didn't do this, and everyone's like, he's manipulating her, and I was like, I don't know if that's manipulating.
That. Yeah.
Wasn't that crazy?
Yeah, no, it was crazy. I saw it on, I think I saw it on Twitter.
Yeah,
And man, guys are getting just like, they're trying to cancel us left and right. It's kind of crazy. And I think it's one of the reasons even why nowadays I honestly don't even like, and my friend Mikhail put me on to you guys, and I'm here, but I am hard to say yes to podcasts nowadays, and that's actually one of the reasons. I'm like, it's just not even worth it for me to go out there, and they're going to find something, clip something, and who knows. And it's something that you have to be really careful with nowadays. So it's hard. It makes me literally not even want to speak my own truth and my own experiences.
Yeah.
So that's
I mean, it's
how I feel
hard.
about it.
Yeah, no, it's hard. I've heard influencers say that to me before, where it's just like, because my coaching program subsidizes all my podcast, and so because of that, that's the only thing. I don't have any sponsors, and so because of that, I can just say whatever I want. I don't, that really helps me a lot. But I see for a lot of other, I have one of my friends. She's a huge model, Australian, and she went to a protest. I won't say what it was because I don't want to get her in trouble. But she was like, I was afraid to go to this because if I live stream from here, I'm going to lose. She was a spokeswoman for Carl's Jr. She's like, that place is, they're based in North Carolina. They're going to get rid of me in 2 seconds for being at this protest. And so it was like stuff like that where people are kind of afraid. And I totally understand that. One of the best things, I look up to Patrick Bet-David. He's an Iranian immigrant, and he's a member of the 101st Airborne, and now he's part owner of the New York Yankees, and he's a coach also. And one of the things he talks about is that, like, we all have a responsibility to speak our mind, but I also have 50 people that work for me. I'm sure you have a lot of people that work for you too. If all of a sudden your YouTube account gets suspended because you say something, that's irresponsible for them and their lives as well. If you're just a single content creator, if you're Sneeko out there yelling at people on whatever, Sneeko doesn't have anyone to fire. You know what I'm saying? So he's good. But like for the rest of us, we actually have a responsibility. So that's why, like, I have to be very mindful of the stuff I say now as well.
Yeah, exactly. And even with there's all this conflict now in the world, right? There's always something to talk about. But more recently, obviously, Israel and Palestine, and I get comments from people being like, "Hey, why don't you say what side are you on? What's going on here? Choose your side, basically." But my side is peace. Like, is that really what you want to hear? Probably not. Like, you just want me to choose a side so you can be with me or against me, right? Do you want to stand with me or against me? And it's not really conducive to finding peace, which is ultimately what everybody should want. They just want you to pick a side so they can be against you.
And unfortunately, the YouTube algorithm, it not only promotes conflict amongst creators, beef between creators, it will make you go viral, but it also promote that conflict between creators also promotes conflict in general. Like, I still do not understand how Ukraine, Russia became a political argument in the United States of America. Like, how does this affect you? Like, that was crazy. The Israel Palestine thing, I totally get it. There's a lot of people here who are invested in that. But like, you guys are like, it was crazy to me as like people were pro or anti one country or another because of the political party they were part of. And I was like, how did this, you guys have been totally fooled. You've been sucked into a conflict and just know nothing about it. So yeah, I totally agree with you when it comes to that.
And that's a big thing too, right? It's like, okay, I'm literally, it says men's fashion and lifestyle and like grooming on my page. I'm like, you want me to come up with a solution for this? I'm like, I'm sorry. Like I got nothing, and I'm not ignorant on the subject. Like I do my own, I try to research and see what's going on. But at the end of the day, like I'm not the person that you should be coming for, I'm not the source for that, right? I'm not really going to be, I literally do men's fashion and LooksMaxing on YouTube. So can't help you there.
Yeah. One thing I have found is with a lot of influencers, especially when they live in a place like Los Angeles, you live there for a while, is that you're just around people who are politically progressive all the time. I was like that when I lived in Los Angeles. And then after a while, when you get attacked online, you start to wonder, like, what is going on here? And then you're in favor of free speech. And you have your friends who are progressive. They're like, yeah, you shouldn't promote free speech. And like, what are you talking about? Like, where does this come from? And there's like a realization. I saw it happen to Logan Paul. I met Logan a couple of times where Logan was just down the middle of the line of whatever Disney told him that's what he was going to repeat. And then after he started getting attacked and like accused of things that he didn't do, he was like, wait, what? I'm supposed to, what? Like, this doesn't make any sense. So I think there's a realization that happens as a content creator. Once you get to a certain point, is like they'll tear you down just like everyone else, even if you agree with them.
Exactly. And it's something that, you heard my story if you've been here since the beginning. It's something that took me so long to build, something that was really difficult. And for me, it's really important. And I have employees, I have business partners, and a lot of people riding on this, my family. So I want to make sure that I'm doing the best I can to make sure that this is a business in the long run, right? In the long run for a long time. Not only my personal business with my image and my social media, but also my brands, my hair product brand, Forte, my clothing brand, ATOS. Actually see my business partner on the call here. Brian, what's up? And, I want to make sure that I'm doing right by them. Right. And it's obviously a lot of pressure. And I want to make sure that anytime I go on a podcast, anytime I'm saying anything, that I'm keeping them in mind.
That's awesome, man. That's definitely important. By the way, let me give you one piece of advice. If you have any crazy stuff you want to say, just do it on someone else's podcast. YouTube won't hold it against you. I've learned it. Like, I say stuff on my show whenever there's a content creator who has like fewer than 100 subs and I do an interview, I say crazy shit on, like, but it never gets me in trouble because, and by the way, his channel is so small that it's not going to do anything for him, but you could still make clips out of it. That's just something that I found. You'll find that a lot of content creators will do that. They'll go on other people's shows and say what they really feel. Adam Sosnick is a great example of this. He came on my show and just went both barrels. But when we're on Adam Sosnick's show at Fort Lauderdale, he'll never do that. It's really interesting. I want to ask you a question. You're 35. You're getting around the age where a lot of guys may start feeling, worse physically because of a lower testosterone. Also, we live in an environment where we don't do a ton of manual labor other than going to the gym. And we're eating foods that are processed, and we live in cities that are polluted. Testosterone levels go down. Have you discussed this at all? The concept of testosterone replacement therapy? Is it something you've looked into at all?
I started looking into it about, actually, when I told you that about a year ago, and I was kind of stressed out and I started losing hair, and I thought maybe it's testosterone and what's going on. So I did a test to make sure that everything was okay, and I had high level of testosterone. I felt good. I was just stressed out, right? So to be fair, man, this summer I was in the best shape of my life at 35. Yeah. And I was so happy because it was a goal that I set out to do. I'm like, I want to be this year in the best shape of my life. And without taking, obviously I take supplements, I take protein, creatine. That's it. I'm not doing anything crazy. And thankfully, my testosterone levels are good. I will say I'm very healthy. Like, I eat extremely healthy. I have my cheat meals here and there, but I ordered meal plans, they sit in my fridge. I'm not like trying to do anything fancy, order out, go to dinners every night. I'm robotic in that way. Like, I have my meal, I heat it up, I eat it, I go back to work, and that's kind of it. Obviously, I enjoy a good dinner, going on a date, grabbing a drinks. But besides that, I live a very, very healthy lifestyle. So my testosterone levels are good for now. And I haven't done any research after that.
It helps being Brazilian too.
Probably. Yeah. Is there like a statistic?
I mean, there's different ethnicities that have different, like, I won't go into all of them, but like certain ethnicities just generally have higher testosterone levels and some have lower. They're like African-American men generally have higher testosterone levels on average than, say, Asian men. That's one of the things. So like, you will see stuff like that also.
Yeah, maybe that's why all Brazilians, when I go back to Brazil, they're such horn dogs. They're always just like talking about girls. I'm like, okay,
you
that
said
makes
it.
sense.
You said it. I didn't say it. You said it. I didn't say it. I'm Colombian. It's the same thing.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
very clear to me. Is soccer and girls. I'm like,
Yeah.
damn, like you got nothing else to talk about. It's crazy.
Yeah. It's really funny. Like it's the same thing, with me. It's also like that when I go back to Texas. There's certain areas of the country where I can tell these people have high testosterone and these people don't. So it is something. It wasn't until I was 43 years old that I started TRT. I just got to a point where I'm laying in bed with like the hottest girl I've ever seen in my life. And I'm like, I'm like interested, but I don't want to have sex with her again. And I was like, what happened to me? Like, bro, what? I used to drive 45 minutes to go to some girl's house. And now, so that's when I started doing it. It's just made a huge, huge difference.
How long
for me.
ago was
So
this, you said?
I'm 46. So this would be 4 years ago, 3 years ago when I started.
And what are the results? How do you feel now?
Oh, bro, it's just like I've never I'll tell you what happens. You'll get older, and what'll happen is you'll do the same weight routine and you'll do the same eating. And arms will get smaller and gut waist will get bigger, but you're doing everything the same. And then you'll take TRT, and the best way I can describe it is arms get bigger, chest gets bigger, waist gets smaller. That's it. That's the main thing. So you get your levels back up to 800, 900, your total test, and you start noticing that. There's other peptides you can take. Obviously, I still have a 46-year-old frame. I played, football for 6 years. So I've problems with my joints. I take thymosin for the joints. Incredible. Semaglutide. I know some people who have serious problems with eating. They take semaglutide, and that's helped them with some. I think it's something where it's like it has to be extreme. You need to learn to diet first before you go to something that extreme. And then the other ones are like semarilin or tesamorelin. These are things that cause your body to naturally produce HGH. I would not recommend jumping into HGH. I definitely would not recommend anabolic steroids. I would recommend just taking regular testosterone cypionate, going to a TRT clinic, and having your levels checked. If you're like Alex and you're 35 and you're good, that's fine. I know guys who are 26 years old with total tests in the 200s and haven't had a hard on in 6 months. Like if you're in a situation like that, the term is called hypogonadism, hypo, not hyper, hypogonadism. If you have that issue, you should go that's something you should go get checked out and check out, the possibility of TRT. I recommend everyone get it checked out. That I don't recommend anyone under the age of 26, like doing TRT. Anyone under the age of 30, I don't think you should do TRT. Once you get 33, you should consider it. Once you get 40, I think it's like kind of, I think what you're going to, right now, I think there's 15 million men on TRT. I think by the time in 20 years, you're going to see 30, 40, 50 million men over the age of 40 that are taking it.
Anytime I read anything about it, it's like they say that it's like magic. It just completely changes the way that you feel, your energy levels, your body, everything, right? So I'm super open to it, and as soon as I start to feel that, for sure, and I'll probably continue to get tested yearly, right, just to make sure that everything's good. Have you noticed any difference with your hair at all, or heard anything about TRT?
No, my beard grew in full for the first time in my life.
Wow.
Yeah, it did not grow in full. The big patches right here on the sides were missing. That went away when I did the TRT. That for sure. You will grow a lot more hair faster. And like the other thing for me is that's been helpful is my friends are Dan Bilzerian, Jay Cutler, Phil Heath. I'm friends with these guys who will tell me when I'm fucking up. You know what I'm saying? I'm friends with, I'm interviewing Flex Lewis. One of the things we're going to talk about, he's open about taking steroids. I'm going to ask him about these things and like what they do to your body. So like, that's a big thing. I'll tell you, Alex, here's the thing. When I was 43, the world started getting grayer for me. And I don't know how else to explain it. If you've ever dealt with hypoxia before, like if you've ever been in an airplane and I almost go through like a G-lock blackout, the world turns gray and narrow. The whole world was kind of gray for me. And when I started taking TRT, everything was colorful again. I just don't know how to explain it other than that. Like my mood, food tastes better. Like sex was just like I felt like I was 19 again. That's generally what happened. And then I'm going back to 19-year-old bench press max, and I'm exceeding that bench press max. Does that make sense?
Wow. That's incredible.
The thing I will tell you though is you're going to have issues with cardiovascular issues because you're putting on a lot more muscle, but you still have the same 40-year-old cardiovascular system. So that's something you're going to have to work on. Your joints are not going to get better just because you put on 15 pounds of muscle. You're going to have to take care of your joints. That's another issue. And flexibility. Because you are not elongating the muscles anymore, like when you stretch, you're actually making the muscles thicker. You're going to pull muscles. Definitely something that happened when I started doing it, I started pulling muscles, my quads, my calves sometimes. So you have to do more stretching, and you are more susceptible to dehydration sometimes because you have thicker blood. You just generally have thicker blood when you take testosterone serum. So those are some things that you have to look at. I don't know anyone who's gotten off it.
How quick was it for you to just like get those results, to start feeling
10
those
weeks.
results after you started? 10 weeks.
At 10 weeks, I felt like I could go play high school football again. Like if you had told me I could go one more time and I had one more year of eligibility, I would go do it. At 10 weeks, I was ready to go play full court 5-on-5 basketball with young kids again. So I think that's probably where it happened. Now, I will tell you this, guys, you're still going to pay for it like the next day. Like you are, when you all of a sudden, just because you can squat 450 doesn't mean your back is going to be happy with you the next day. Even though you're on it, your muscles will recover quicker, but you still have the same ligaments and joints. So there's other things you can take for that. Like I would highly recommend, like I said, thymosin is really great for inflammation. So there's different stuff you can do. But I didn't, like I said, I didn't start till I was 43 doing this stuff. And
you've been working out. I mean, you've been like a super active guy and working out for
yeah.
many
It just Alex, you just get to a point where like nothing's working. Like I'm my friends would take their shirt off and they just look so much better than me, and I was eating better than them. Genetics plays a part in it. If you guys look at Tyson Fury, he's the heavyweight champion of the world and he looks like a bag of milk, right? The guy, I promise you, he does more. I promise you, everyone on this call, I promise you Tyson Fury does more cardio than you. I promise you he does. And he looks like a fucking bag of milk, right? And then you look at Deontay Wilder, he's never taken steroids and his free test is 1,100 at 37 years old. It's fucking crazy. It's genetics. For me, I just had my dad's genetics, just this kind of this like doughy marshmallow shaped torso. And when I got on TRT, it just went back to how I looked when I was 19 and I could see abs again for the first time at 46 years old. So that was a huge difference for me. Obviously, I have a 21-year-old girlfriend. She wants, I have to keep up with her. And so in order for me to do that, like I'm on this and it's very helpful for me. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like that's definitely the way to go. If you notice that you have low testosterone, if you notice that you have low energy, something to keep in mind is, make sure that you're working out throughout your 20s and 30s. It'll be so much better for when you're older as well, right? For you, instead of being overweight and letting yourself go, and then when you're 40, you're like, oh, I guess I'm just going to get into TRT and figure this out. It's probably a lot better for you to just
when you're older, your joints degenerate. So your ability to do the cardio and the weight workout that you had before, you need more time to recover when you're older. And so that's why like being 50 pounds overweight at 22 is way better than being 50 pounds overweight at 44. But you're more likely to be 50 pounds overweight at 44. Because your body produces less HGH and you have a slower metabolism. So these are things that you have to work on. But no, I'm in the gym 7 days a week. Me and my girlfriend are in there 7 days. I know I should probably take a few days off. I plan to go to 7 days a week, but God makes my off days for me. Does that make sense? Friends come over.
That's literally, I love that you said that, because that's literally me. So I'm going to steal that line from you, because it's so true. I'm like, I'm going to go every day. And then something's going to come up one day and I'm like, shit, I can't go today. That's my
same thing. I don't even plan cheat meals. God will make the cheat meals for me. Right. I just know I'm going to end up at some party and there's going to be birthday cake and whatever. So I don't even plan those either. So that definitely happens a lot. A question I wanted to ask you about is something that's happened recently. So as you become an influencer, I've had a couple of guys, pretty much every female that I've had on my show that's over, 300,000 followers, 1 million, whatever, their dating life becomes public. It just has to. My dating life is public. My girlfriend's not an influencer yet. She's probably going to be. Every photographer I know is trying to shoot her. But one of the things is when you date an influencer, a lot of times you can talk about this specifically in your situation or just avoid it and just talk about like in general. One of the difficulties that happens when you're a public figure, your relationship is public. And then when it ends, it's public too. And how do you deal with that?
Yeah. So if you follow me, if you just looked at my page from a while back, I was in a public relationship, right? So I started dating an influencer 4 years ago. And at the time, we weren't really sure if we were going to make it public or not, but you can't really hold that stuff back. It's just like your life, my life is just public, right? So at some point they're going to show up on an Instagram post or story or someone else's story or whatever. So we weren't really trying to hide it. We knew that it was going to become a public relationship. We did a hard post, our first hard post a few months into the relationship, and told people that we were together. And over the course of it, after 3.5 years, we decided to go our separate ways. And it was the first time that I had to post about a breakup, right? So I'm sitting there and I'm like, what do I do? One of those like corny ass videos where I'm just like, hey guys, today just want to say that we broke up, we're going separate ways. I don't want to do that. So I thought honestly, I love my audience, but I don't feel like I owe it to them to tell them in detail what's going on in my relationship. At the time, I just didn't think that was right. So I talked to my ex, Robbie, and then it was a very friendly chat. And I said, I think this is what we should post. What do you think? She's like, yeah, let's do it. Let's post a story frame. We literally just posted one story frame. And it was just saying, hey, you know, we went our separate ways. There's no drama. There's no tea. I wish them the best. And that's kind of it. I've, over the years, have built a little bit of a wall around my personal life on purpose, just because I do think that if you let them into your personal life too much, then they kind of start giving you personal advice on your life, or they, you know, my next girlfriend, let's say, they're like, well, I like Robbie better, or I like this other girl better. It was, I don't want that. You know, my page is about, it's educational. I'm providing value about fashion, grooming, lifestyle, and elevating yourself. It's not really about my personal page, my personal life. Back in the day, my YouTube page was vlogs about my life, and I would show them every single minute of my life. And it was too much. So I closed that up, and I don't want to do that ever again.
So, you know, I actually think the way you did it was perfect. I actually looked at both of yours and I was like, man, that's definitely the way to go. Do you think that the way you handled it was the correct way to handle it? Would you advise other people?
It was the best way to do it. You know, it's
Okay.
the best way to do it. It's like, you know, this relationship is public, and we acknowledge that. And so we want to give you this information and let you know that this happened, let you know that there was nothing wrong. There's, you know, no cheating, none of that, no tea. And it's just, we're going our separate ways. Having said that, you know, it's easy for me to say when we decide that we're going our separate ways, that we're going to post an amicable post on story. If there was something that went horribly wrong, then who knows what the reaction would have been from either of us at that time, and who knows what we would have said publicly. But because it was an amicable breakup, it was a little bit easier to do it that way.
For sure. Yeah. Do you have any advice for men? Because a lot of guys, you know, especially in my program, we do a lot of huge social circle events and throw these big charity events or whatever. And a lot of the guys in my program start dating influencers. It's really common, actually. Do you have any advice for a guy who's dating an influencer? Maybe he's not an influencer. Maybe he's just an attorney or something like that. Do you have any advice?
Yeah, creating boundaries. That's the biggest one, is defining those boundaries early on. I think, you know, something that I probably could have done better. We could have done better in our relationship, is setting those boundaries when it comes to being influencers together. I think it's even worse when both of them are influencers, because it just becomes your entire life. All you do is talk about the algorithm. All you do is, you're on vacation. So what you're doing is you're shooting for each other. Right? Oh, we don't need to hire a photographer on vacation because that feels like work. But then you get there and it looks beautiful. So what do? I shoot her, she shoots me, and now you're spending your time working instead of actually enjoying it. So if you're a guy who's not an influencer and you're dating an influencer, and she's like, can you just shoot me on vacation, shoot all my photos, blah, blah, blah. Not really. No, get a photographer. You know, get a photographer. They can help you with that. And that's the best way to do it. Create those boundaries so that because it can take over your life. Being an influencer is more than a full-time job. Like it's who you are, and you're showing that on social media. There's no sunset that you don't want to take out your phone from your pocket and record it and show it to everyone, because it's a beautiful sunset. Right. So anything that I would see that's cool, any places that I would go that I'm like, oh, this place would be great for a shot right there, I'd start thinking about work. And I had to really stop that, because it just took over my life. And that's when I stopped talking about personal life, and really just became, okay, I'm going to shoot in my studio. When I'm on vacation, I'm on vacation, and that's that. And if you're dating an influencer, that can easily seep into your life and really mess up your relationship.
One thing I will advise guys is that you need to have this. If you are in a situation where you're posting her and she's not posting you, it is bad. It's bad juju, right? You definitely want
100%.
Yeah.
If she's not posting you, like there's something wrong there. And I get that a lot of girls have their brands, and it's like their brand is basically just like, they're hot and they have 99% audience is male, and they're the ones leaving those heart emojis. But it doesn't matter, man. Like at the end of the day, like if you want a true relationship, then she needs to be posting you as well.
There's a couple things, and hopefully I don't come off as offensive to some of you when I say this. When you break up, she has far more of an ability to hurt you socially and in your dating life and your business, then you have the ability to hurt her. I'm just sorry. Like if a woman gets cheated on, there's a line formed to the left. And in fact, if I hear that a girl gets cheated on and I'm like, wow, you stayed with a dude who cheated on you, that actually sounds like a good girl to me. When I hear about a dude who gets cheated on over and over again, that's when you get into the I fucked your bitch in some Gucci flip-flops type stuff. Like men have the ability to be hurt more. That's why I'm saying there has to be, if she's not posting photos of the two of you together and there's not some investment, it's not equitable. Like there's a probability of her hurting your brand more than you hurting hers. It's just the truth. It's just the way men and women are. And it's just the way our audiences work. When women get cheated on, like I have female friends who get cheated on and their audience loves the shit out of them. They are just adoring with adulation. When dudes get cheated on, it's like, yo, bro, what happened? What'd you do wrong? You know what I'm saying?
100%, 100%. And the other day I was, in my Explore page, I'm like, oh, this girl's pretty hot. I clicked on her and she had no photos of like her boyfriend anywhere besides where it matters, which she pinned one photo of her and her boyfriend, fiance, whatever. And I was like, you know what? I appreciate that so much. Like that's so cool that and it's such like a normal thing, but a lot of girls just don't do that. It's just photos of them in bikinis, whatever. And then somehow they have a boyfriend. I'm like, how do you have what do you mean you have a boyfriend? That's insane. So just one little photo pinned to the top. I'm like, I appreciate that. That's what's up.
Yeah. Like this, guys, this doesn't help her brand at all. You guys understand that? Like this doesn't help her brand, but she's willing to do it, which shows a sacrifice in the relationship, which is why I think it's just so important to do that.
And it's also cool that you acknowledge that like this isn't doing her any good for her business on social media, but this is her life. I am her guy, her man. And she's doing it because she's sacrificing for this relationship. And it's cool that you acknowledge that too.
Yeah, it's great. Okay, so cool. That's really important that, talk about that. Cause I feel like that's something guys need to understand. Cause I know it's a situation where guys say, hey, Michael, I want to date a 9 or a 10, and they're going to get more attention. And a lot of times they're going to have social media profiles that are really big, and you have to learn how to deal with some of the situations that are happening, like a lot of attention from men, the fact that the business is going to take over. No, honey, when the food comes at dinner, honey, the gram eats first. The gram, you know what I'm saying? Got to take a picture of the butter cake. The gram eats first. That kind of stuff, that's what happens. And so it's something that guys have to get used to. I want to ask you a question. So you've actually had a lot of really cool videos on dating advice. One of them that you talked about was eye contact. And I thought that was really interesting about like not losing eye contact.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just so powerful, right? And that goes for not just dating, but just in general. I've definitely interacted with some guys who are just like, don't look into your eyes. And I'm not saying like stare into my soul for 20 minutes. I'm just saying like maintain some type of eye contact. Hi.
Kylie wanted to say hi. She actually had a question for you later. I'll have her come in here.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
I think eye contact is so important. It's one of the things that show people that you care, that you're paying attention. One of those things that it's almost way more respectful that way. If people aren't looking at you, looking into your eyes, like what are they thinking about? What are they doing? And when it comes to dating, it shows that maybe you're not confident enough to be dating this girl. If you can't,
when men look away, when an attractive woman looks at it, then the men look away. That's
for
what
sure.
I
If you look away, it's like, why are you scared? Are you just not confident? What's going on here? So maintaining eye contact is extremely, extremely important when it comes to dating. I would say that if you're talking to a girl, make sure that you're looking at her into her eyes, and then you can look away once in a while to not look like you're just staring at her. Whatever you do, just don't look down, and then just look to the sides, and you'll be good.
Incredible. Oh, there's something else I wanted to ask you about. This just for my own selfish needs here. You're an entrepreneur, and one of the biggest issues I have is figuring out ways to buy back my time and figuring out the right people to hire. You have systems in place. You have a team. How do you know? Do you have people that help you with this? How do you know who to hire? Do you have a CEO that helps you with all this stuff? How does that work for you? And also, do you have a sales team? Do you have a sales team? That's another thing I was going to ask you.
So I have a one-person sales team right now for my course, for example. When it comes to my physical business, right? We don't really do any sales when it comes to cold calling or anything like that, right? So it's mostly marketing through ads. It's
because you have low ticket, like actual items that you're selling, like brick and mortar physical items that don't. When I say low ticket, I mean below $3,500.
Exactly.
That you can sell. You don't need a sales team for that.
Yeah, hair product, clothing, right? But for any, like I've done mentoring in the past, and of course we had a sales team for that, because then we're either cold calling or calling our leads, and that's important. Hiring, I'm not gonna lie, man. It's one of the toughest, if not the toughest things for me and for business in general. It's really hard to find good people who are actually down to work, who are actually down to put in the hours and show that they care, you know. And I've had such a hard time with that because everything that I do is, it's my brand, it's my face, you know, it's my
Mm,
name. And if you can't fall below a certain line of quality, you know, because if it
yeah.
falls below that, then it just showcases who I am. And I mean, you watched my morning routine video. I want to make sure that everything is like perfect, right? And obviously there's some leeway there, and I'm not crazy when it comes to training my team and making sure that things are going well. Perfection is impossible to achieve, but I want it to be as close as possible. So I've talked to headhunters before. You know, I actually talked to one last week about hiring higher tier, higher level positions. But when it comes to the lower level positions, we've been pretty lucky finding those employees. My videographer who works with me full time, for example, I literally posted it on my Instagram story, like, hey, looking for a videographer in New York. This dude messages me. He's like, hey, I'm in Toronto. I'm like, you're not in New York. Like, are you going to
Yeah.
move here? He's like,
Yeah.
I'll move there. I'll do it. I was like, all right, let's do it. And such a hungry kid, nice kid, you
Yeah.
know, and he's been working side by side with me here. We got him a work visa, TN visa, and it's been incredible. But a lot of times I just feel like people are lazy nowadays. I just feel like
Bro, they don't want to work, bro. Thank you. I was about to say the same thing. These people do not want to, and we're willing to pay really well. One of the things that's happened, like, it's just, have you noticed how long it takes to get an Uber now? Like, it's crazy. It's like a lot of
yeah.
people just don't want to work.
And nowadays people want the raise, they want the, you know, the six figures before they prove anything to you, right?
Mm.
And it's like, no, pay me more and I'll show you that I can do more. No, that's like, it's the opposite. Like, you got to show me that you can do it, and then I'll pay you more. And that's how it works. So it's been challenging for sure to find good people in today's climate for whatever reason, but it's something that we're striving to do better. And that's why literally last week I had a call with a headhunter to see if we can speed up the process when it comes to hiring.
If you have any questions about the sales team, we can help you. Cole Gordon is one of my good friends. He's doing 30 million a year. He's with his sales team. He teaches you how to build sales teams. And then I'm also working with my buddy Raf, who's doing Dan Bilzerian's sales team for the Sigma Society. So that's one thing. I've had 800. One of the things that you'll find, Alex, works out really well for you is that you have a brand that people associate with, and those people who are zealots are really going to be your best salespeople who've gone through your course. That's one of the things. Almost all of my sales guys have gone through my course before they went through. I have had 800 people apply to be a salesperson for Men of Action, and we've only hired 1% of them. So we also learned from Layla Hormozi. Layla Hormozi has this great program where she talks about actually running ads to get better people into your business. And then the other thing I'll tell you is the book by Dave Martell, called Buy Back Your Time. Incredible book. It just basically hire people who give you back your time. Don't hire people to scale your business. And when you do so, you'll scale your business.
I haven't read that one. I gotta check it out. Yeah, I've listened to the Hermosis a lot, and they're incredibly smart. Actually, I was listening to one of his podcasts today, and I love the fact that they put ads out and they treat it just like getting leads for anything else.
Yeah, we're running ads for setters and closers now, and we're getting like, and I wish I could hire every one of these guys, but it's like so hard to work for us. But we have to, because we need the best of the best. One of the things that you'll find, Alex, it's like I don't know if you watch American football, but I can't have my left tackle be awesome and my right tackle be garbage, because it's just like not having any offensive line. Like, everyone has to meet a certain standard. If I have one closer who's doing call to close at 40% and the other one who's doing 5%, I can't send any leads to the guy who's doing 5%. It's bad for my business, and it's also hurting. Those are leads that the other guys could be using to feed their families. And so they get pissed off. And so that's one of the issues. You cannot have bad closer with good closers. They all have to meet a certain standard. And that's that's like having 5, like left tackle, left guard, center, right guard, right tackle. They all have to be all pros in order for you to make it work.
And here's the thing too, right? We're at a point now. We've been doing this for a long time. You know, maybe when I started, I would hire someone who was just starting as well, whether it's an editor, thumbnail designer, or a salesperson. But now this is the big league, right? Like, I literally have a large audience of 7 million people that look up to me for whatever it is that I'm saying on on social media. Anything that any educational content that I post, it needs to be at a level that I've been doing this for 12 years, man. Like if I'm posting a shitty video online, it's just not, it doesn't go with my brand. So when you're playing in that league, the team needs to be up there as well. You can't have a weak link. Otherwise, if I had 3 great editors and 1 bad editor, people would
Same,
see
bro.
that
It's
video.
same exact
It's not
problem. Yes.
consistent with everything else.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Same issue. My team, they make 30 pieces of content a day for me, and they do 150 posts a day. And you're right. And I have a rule. What you do on other platforms is on you. And some of the stuff is crazy. I know I'm going to get misquoted, but the stuff on my platform, on my IG, I have to approve everything that goes on there. Even though I used to make my own reels. That shit took me forever. But now I have a team of people in Nepal, Iraq, and Nigeria. And I got news for you guys. You think because they're less expensive and they live in another country, they're worse? No, they're better. These people want to work. They're way better. They're using AI tools. They have a high-speed internet access. These guys are incredible editors, and they're just grinding through. I actually got my first set of editors from Pearl Davis. It's Pearly Things. She actually sent them to me in my first group. And the next group I got Ty Lopez, Greg Gallagher, Ryan Pineda, and Iman Ghazi all worked with a guy named Logan Forsyth, and that's who I hired now to do all my content. But
yeah,
man, it's one of those things.
Iman Ghazi is making some beautiful videos, man. He's crushing it with his content. And for me, it's hard especially on YouTube now, like you have to elevate your content. Back when I started, it was like, hey, you don't need footage or any of that. Just sit, talk to a camera, and it's fine. Things have shifted. It's oversaturated. There's a lot of people doing YouTube. There's a lot of people doing content. How do you stand out? So what I do is I try to, everything that I do, if there's a trend, if there's a video that I think I really should post on my socials, I look at it and I say, how can I elevate it? How can I make it better? Because me just posting a trend, I'm just like everybody else. How can I add a little touch of something to it? And that's really what's been working for me over the past couple of years after TikTok came out and vertical videos became such a big thing. I was always so heavy into video, right? So I kind of had a little start. I was ahead of everybody else when it came to video. So I was able to continue that lead by just making sure that I added my own spice to trends or anything else.
Man, that's incredible, man. It's great actually talking to another entrepreneur about some of these things, these challenges that you go through, especially with the content creation. It was just something where I had to buy back my time. And so I'm just going to make the long form stuff and you guys just cut it up. And I try to make content so fast that they can't keep up. Now, one thing that I did notice is that, so for me, all of my B-roll in all of my clips is just me living my life. It's just me at a party. There's a bunch of girls with me, and it's always taken on an iPhone. Your B-roll is so professional, bro. Like you have stuff where you're just like in a jacket, the lighting is perfect. And I'm like, man, how do you have time to do all these shots? Do you plan these out? The B-roll shots I'm talking about, the lifestyle shots where you're looking away from the camera.
Yeah. I'm not going to lie. It's exhausting. The other day I got Cody Sanchez newsletter, and I was reading it, and it was about delegating, and I was like, oh, amazing. She's a content creator. She's going to talk about delegating, and maybe I'm going to learn how to delegate my content because it's a pain in the ass. She literally went on and described how to delegate every other role, and then when it came to content creation, she was like, yeah, and then the only thing that I really don't know how to delegate yet is content creation because my face
because you got to be in it.
I'm like, damn, like it's just so hard because it's so time consuming. I mean, you said it yourself, all those shots, all those videos, all those photos, my face is in it. And maybe there's a future where AI will take that over. For example, I've AI cloned my voice for voiceovers and it works all right. So we've used that before. But so maybe in the future, there'll be something AI, some technology that will help that out. But right now, man, a lot of my time is spent shooting content, and I'm in a little bit, when it comes content wise and my social media business wise, I'm in a little bit of a hamster wheel where I'm just like, if I stop posting, I stop growing and I stop making, getting these brand deals. So I have to continue to feed this hamster wheel. But my let's say way out of that is building the things on the side. So my 9 to 5 basically is like my social media stuff. And then outside of that, you have my brands, I have my course, and real estate investments and stock investments. But
of course,
it's so time consuming. It's so time consuming, and there's no secret.
Yeah. The other thing is, I don't know if you've seen the Hey Gen the avatars that they've been doing. My friends did one for me, and it makes my voice a little too high, but it's not quite there yet, right? With the
It's
AI
not quite
stuff that
there.
you're
Yeah,
talking
it's
about.
just a little off, right? And
Yeah.
like we're getting there. I remember seeing a build out for, like somebody wanted me to create a channel where I spoke a different language, and they would move my mouth and
Incredible.
put AI and dub into, I think it was Korean at the time. And they're like, oh, look at this preview. And I looked at it and it was garbage. This was like three years ago. It was absolute garbage. Nowadays, it's perfect. It's like I literally look like I'm speaking whatever language they decide. My mouth moves exactly like it. It's a little scary. It's a little scary, but it works really well. So I can only imagine what the future will hold. Maybe there will be like an AI clone of me, and I'm just like, yo, you get to work, man. You're doing the content.
That's what Hermosi's starting to do. Have you seen that? Like Hermosi's starting to use like AI stuff for his videos.
I haven't yet. No, I haven't.
Yeah. My mom, my Spanish is garbage. I'm going to do an AI video where I'm speaking Spanish. My mom, she'll probably start crying. She'll be so happy.
I know you should say some really elevated, complicated things. Like, what?
Yeah. How does he know these words? Yeah, that's crazy. One other thing I want to ask you about is the influencer system. So what products do you have now as far as coaching is concerned? You actually go over all of them. As far as you have clothing, you have hair care and facial care products, and then you also have coaching. What are those?
So the first brand I started, it's called Forte Series. It's a men's grooming line. It started off with one hair product. This was end of 2019, and I was promoting a lot of women's brands, for men, because we didn't have much besides the usual suspects, Axe or whatever. Nothing great. So I decided to create my own product. We created a clay, and now we have 15 SKUs, 17 SKUs with Forte Series, and it's becoming more of a grooming line as well as skincare line. So that was 2019. A few years after that, I created a clothing brand with my business partner Brian, and that clothing brand is called ATOS. So in the clothing line, basically what we do is we try not to go too far forward when it comes to being fashion forward. Right, we want this for the everyday guy who wants to look good and doesn't really know what to wear. So that's why we created the t-shirts that give you that V shape to make you look more masculine, hoodies that have the same feature, bomber jackets, pants, shorts, etc. It's like how do I curate an elevated wardrobe very easily with ATOS? So every time I create anything, I think of the audience that I've built, of the guys that I meet on the street, the guys that talk to me, that message me, and what would they want? How can I solve a problem that they're going through right now? So we solved for like guys who don't really know what to wear by creating ATOS. And then the third product that we created was the digital product. And it's actually kind of new to me still. I'm still learning more and more about it, but it's such an interesting part of this business, right? So we started by creating what was called the inner circle. And that was a place for guys to go and level up. And we would have weekly calls and just really help them in everything that they wanted to elevate in their lives, dating, professional, etc. But one common thread that kept coming up was growth on social media, or at least creating a desirable social media platform. And I've been doing social media for a very long time, and I've created my brand there and grew my personal brand. I'm pretty good at personal branding, if I may say so myself. And I thought, why not create a program where I am showing guys how to build their personal brand, how to create a social profile where, whether you're going for, you want more dates and more matches or whatever, or you just want to look good for your friends or family, or you want to create a business out of it and you want to learn about the algorithm. So we created the influencer system, which goes through literally all of that. So it's pretty broad in terms that you're going to learn a lot about how to create your profile. You're going to learn how to make yourself look really good for dating, but also you're going to learn how to create viral reels and what the Instagram algorithm is looking for right now. So it's very detailed. There's about 30 videos total right now, and we keep adding more and more. So if you want to grow on social media, specifically on Instagram, if you want to create a profile that is attractive, that will get you more dates, it's called theinfluencersystem.com. And I'm actually going to give you guys a 50% off code. If you use the code Sartain50, you get 50% off. And that's just for you guys who are watching right now.
I love it, man. Okay, we'll put a link in the down in the description too. Alex, can you take some questions? There's a bunch of guys that have
Of
questions
course,
for
yeah,
you.
let's do it. Let's do
Okay,
it.
so guys, for those of you who are new to Zoom, what I need you to do is go down to the bottom where it says reaction. You're going to hit reaction, and then you're going to push the raise hand button. For those of you who are on YouTube, the way you guys can do it is you can go to the pinned comment up there and you can join us on Zoom, or you can do a super chat. I'm going to read the first three super chats. Siege D, W Sartain, Psychology. I appreciate that. Siege D also asks, Yo Sartain, I've got a night shift job at 12 a.m. to 4 or 5 days a week. How should I adjust my sleep schedule for night work? And then I got another one. Hey, definitely going to check out Costa. Beautiful. Thank you guys for the super chats. I'm just curious. Do you get up at 7 a.m.? Do you ever have issues where you have to switch your schedule to like a nighttime schedule? You mostly just work during the day, right?
Yeah, but I mean, for sure, I switch it up.
Yeah.
If I'm jet lagged from a trip, or if
Yeah.
if you go out, you go to a club, you know what it's like, and then you wake up the next day, obviously later, and it messes up
Yeah.
your whole sleep schedule. It takes a little bit to get back into it, but I'm happier at waking up earlier. I'm more productive. I'm more efficient. So I try to do that. I will say that I've had a lot of sleepless, nights where
Yeah.
this video's got to get done. This video has to get done, and I'm the one who has to do it. Like I
Yeah.
need to send this video to my editor tonight, my editor who's overseas. So then as soon as he gets up, he can start editing. So when I wake up, the video's done. Like, so I've that's definitely happened many, many times to me.
That's beautiful, man. Awesome. So let's do this. We're going to go to the questions. We have a bunch of questions. You guys rose their hand, and you guys are going to put you on screen with them. And let's go ahead and get it started with Gracio. Hey, brother, what's going on, man? Let me ask you, can you unmute yourself?
Yes, now I can unmute myself. Can you hear me?
Sure can.
Yes.
Great. So just a question, Alex. I heard that you're actually from Brazil, right? As a fellow Brazilian, I would like to congratulate you for all your growth and your development as a business person as well. As
Muito
just
obrigado.
a successful, sorry?
Muito obrigado.
Obrigado também. We're speaking Portuguese here, Sartain.
No, I know what obrigado means. I'm Colombian. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Spanish is
Yeah.
like that as well.
Yeah.
All right, great. So the question that I have here is actually for Sartain, not for Alex. Is that a problem?
Yeah. Go ahead. What's up? What's going on?
Perfect. So, Sartain, first of all, I would like to congratulate you as well for all the work that you do here, and I feel really privileged to be able to watch all the content that you produce. Thank you. So, I would like to just read something that I wrote here, my question, so I can be as objective as possible, okay?
Okay.
So, Mike, I'm a 31-year-old guy who lives in Lisbon, Portugal, Western Europe, and I have had a business that ended up failing, and I'm starting my life again from scratch. I have a background in software and sales, especially using the power selling system taught in the book E-Myth Revisited that you actually suggested, but I have already read it a long time ago, and the straight line selling system by Jordan Belfort. I want to focus my life on a socially intense line of work that pays well based on my performance so that I can develop my social skills synergistically with what I have already been doing in my life through social circle game. Do you have any suggestions to give me on how to restart my life again at this point?
Actually, I want to ask Alex this. Alex, what do you think about that?
Oh man. So when did you go through this change in your life? You mentioned it.
Well, I have started this business about 10 years ago when I was 23, and it has been actually successful for a number of years, but unfortunately because of depression and other personal problems starting when I was 28, it was a long process of 3 years, and basically after the 3 years the business went down the drain.
And you're 31, I
And
said, right?
now I'm in the position where I'm literally starting my life from scratch again, in a
Yeah.
different country, in a different place, but I would say that it is literally restarting.
I would say, 31, you're still young, right? You still have plenty of time and energy to get things done. I think you just have to self analyze and assess for a bit and understand what your capabilities are, what you like doing, what you're good at doing. So if you have an entrepreneurial mindset, I would continue down that path. Just try new things, try a new business. You said that this didn't work out because of personal reasons, and you maybe weren't in the right headspace for that. Now you analyze yourself and you say, well, am I in the headspace now? Would it have worked if I changed ABC? And is this something that I even want to do? What was I happy doing that? And if you are, I mean, I think you know the path. You basically just do exactly what you did before, but making those changes to make it better. I will say, and I'm not saying this is you, a lot of people think that being an entrepreneur is easy because they, they watch, I don't know, Gary Vee or whatever, and they're like, oh, yeah, I'm just gonna do this and it's gonna work out. It's just not for everyone. It's just also not for everyone. So I'm not saying you specifically, but there's a lot of people who think they should quit their 9 to 5s to work for themselves. And at the end of the day, they prefer when somebody else is telling them what to do. They just work better that way. But it sounds like you have an entrepreneurial mind just from what I was listening to you giving this, this presentation that you wrote down. It sounds like you're very organized and disciplined. And if that's your mindset, go for it, man. Just change the little things that didn't work out at the first time around.
Yeah, the issue is that I really need to start again because I wouldn't say that I would be able to create another business at this point just due to lack of money.
And that's
I
totally
have to
fine.
to work for a living to actually pay my bills.
Sure.
So I have to get myself up again at a point where I can then have the leeway to be able to start
Yeah,
the
the lateral
business.
mobility.
Exactly. And this is something that I'm not in a position right now to do. I want to get back to it because I see my life as a life that is completely aligned to the entrepreneurial path. But the thing is that I have to get back on my feet.
Okay,
Right?
Gracio, a couple things. You mentioned before about the business going under because of your personal depression. Has that been something
Completely
you've
my
handled?
responsibility. It was
Totally.
completely my
But have you
responsibility.
handled this? Have you cognitive psychotherapy, BPT therapy? Have you tried any of these mood stabilizers, anything like that? Have you? You don't need to tell
Yes,
me what
I
you
am.
did.
For
Yeah.
instance, I mean, yeah, I'm still in. For instance, I have done. I have taken antidepressants and I have taken
Mhm.
care of myself. I'm in a way better position right now.
Okay, so now you think if you were in the current mindset you're in right now, that the previous failure probably wouldn't have happened? Is that how you feel?
I would say that I still have to learn a couple of things.
Okay.
I'm not there yet to be long-term successful as I wanted.
Yeah, because if you
There's
don't fix
still some
that,
lack.
if you don't fix that, you're just going back to your ex who cheated on you. It's just the same. You're making the same mistake
I
over and over
know
again.
exactly.
Yeah.
I
So
know.
that's there's nothing I can tell you that's gonna come before your mental health if you go down this path. Number two, you saw with Alex in his situation, he makes like well, first off, when Miguel came to me and was like, "Hey, I want you to interview Alex," I was like, "Man, I don't know anything about male fashion." You know what I'm saying? I was intimidated, and then I watched his content, and it was so easy for me to digest what he was doing. He solved the problem for big fucking former military brutes like me. That is intimidating stuff to watch. And for him, he made it very easy. So you see how he solved a problem. He saw a niche that, for me, Men of Action, what did I do? Men of Action was for dudes who are in self-help who don't know how to keep eye contact and act like they're autistic. That's what it was. It's for networking and for dudes who are super weird from the dating community. That's how we quadrupled our growth. What is the problem you're solving? That's the question. What is the problem you're solving? Not, I feel like being an entrepreneur. I feel like I should be successful. It's not about you. It's about the problem you solve for other people. And when you do that, you become fantastically wealthy.
I
Now,
understand.
by the way, how do
In
you
this
figure out how to
process of
solve that
getting
problem?
back on my feet,
Yeah.
what path, considering my interests or the things that I have already experienced with, as I said,
Yeah.
what do you suggest me to do? Like go
Is there
focus on.
is there a job right now that you can do with your skill set in Lisbon that or remotely that you can get paid a pretty decent wage to
Uh,
help somebody else because of the experience that you have previously?
yes, I would say that especially sales. Especially
Yeah. Okay.
sales.
So, dude, obviously, I'm always going to be pro sales. Like, for instance, I do what I do for a living. But if you said, "Hey, Michael, I need you to produce a podcast," I am more than qualified to produce a podcast. Do you understand? Like, there's other skill sets that I have. I used to work in finance. I used to be a stock option seller, and I used to fly airplanes for a living. Like, there's other skill sets that I have where I could be paid a lot of money that are outside if I had to start over. So, there should have been skill sets. Again, let's go back to what Alex said. He worked at Google, saw what they were doing, use the information in order to start a channel. That's another thing, like working for people that you may think like a lot of times entrepreneurs don't want to work for other people. Working for other people that are smarter than you is one of the greatest ways to find the little point of exploitation, meaning the little point of where there's an inefficiency in this vertical integration in this market. And I will make $1 billion if I sit there. That's what Wayne Huizinga did with waste management. He figured out a company that would just empty porta potties. And the guy made billions of dollars doing something that nobody wanted to do. Does that make sense?
Yes, totally.
So that's it.
So
I can't answer though, Gracio. I don't know exactly what your skill set is. So I don't know exactly how to answer that. But what I would say is take the skill set that you have now and the expertise you have now. And if it means becoming a personal assistant or becoming a high ticket sales closer, I'm always going to be in favor of high ticket sales closers. There's not enough of them. We don't have any. It's like NFL quarterbacks. There's just not enough of them. Great forwards in soccer. There's just not enough of them. There's not enough high ticket closers. There's just not enough of them.
yes, and when it comes to high ticket closing, do you have any suggestions about
Yeah,
where to
Cole Gordon.
start?
I recommend Cole Gordon's Remote Closer Academy. Yeah.
Great. And you have a podcast with him as well, right?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Great.
Dude's a fucking assassin. Yeah, he's great.
Great.
Let's go to next one, man. I really
Thank
appreciate
you.
that, man. Cade, what's going on, Cade? My man Cade from Fort Worth. Cade, what's happening, man? Hold on, Cade. Let's do this. Can you unmute yourself?
There we go. Wasn't letting me do that for a second. Hey Michael, my question was just revolving around managing jealousy with potential partners in regards to female friends, because it
Interesting.
got to the point this last week where like she was getting sent pictures of me walking with people. And as soon as she sent those to me, I was like, yeah, I'm done with this. Like
Bro,
I'm not putting up with that.
Kate, you are so much further along than I was when I was your age. You got girls fighting over you, bro. I was so weird and awkward when I was your age. It's crazy, man. I was just like happy that I beat the Legend of Zelda. Like that was what I was excited about. Okay, Alex, we didn't talk about this before, so I'm just going to assume I have a ton of female friends. Most of my friends are females. I love having female friends because female friends get me invited to everything. If I wanted to go to a party in the Hamptons, I could either be super rich or show up with 20 girls. I'm going to get into any party in the Hamptons. I imagine you probably have some female friends. Women are always introducing me to women. And so I would imagine you have a lot. Do you have female friends? Is that something that's
I do have female
common?
friends, and you're so right. Imagine
Yeah.
showing up to a club with 4 dudes. Do you
Yeah.
think you're gonna get in? You're just not gonna get in, right? So having female friends just it unlocks a lot of different opportunities for you. So, Kate, you're good. You should have those female friends like that. That should be fine. And for her to be jealous just because you're walking around with them, that's crazy. You know,
Hey.
I will say, like, you're young. I feel like there may be some immaturity on her side there, because maybe she hasn't been with a guy like you who has female friends. But it's something that, because you're so mature for your age, dude, it's crazy. I didn't have female. Well, I mean, I had like classmates when I was your age, you know, but like,
Kate,
would be
I
so
was the
scared to talk to
biggest
them.
simp when I was your age, dude. I was buying girls stuff. I was the biggest simp, and now you don't have to go through that. I'm so jealous of you, dude.
Cade, the legend.
Yes.
You like
Hey,
it. You like it.
real talk. So I actually don't worry about that. I have clusters of female friends, and some of them don't like each other, and it's none of my business. I just don't give a shit. The other thing that you're going to find, and I'm sure Alex sees this all the time, is when you have groups of female friends like that, a lot of them are going to start having a crush on you. In fact, at some point, most of them are going to have a crush on you. So I would just keep doing what you're doing. The other thing you're going to find out about female relationships is a lot of times they're going to say, "I hate Becky. Becky's a bitch. I don't want to hang out with Becky," and then she's going out to dinner with Becky the next night. So there's a lack of permanence in their relationship that I just really wouldn't pay super attention to. Just stay on your path and I can't believe I'm saying this to a kid in junior high. You stay on your path and your purpose, and you're gonna.
I'm in high school. I know I look like I'm 14,
high school,
but I'm not.
bro.
Okay.
Bro, I'm gonna be working for you in 20 years. You'll see. Like it's ridiculous. All right.
All
Does
right.
that answer
Thank
your
you.
question, man?
Yes. Thank you.
Awesome. Stephen Roper, what's going on, man? Hey, how we doing in Jamaica, brother? What's going on? Hold on. Let me unmute yourself. What's going on, Stephen?
Hey, what's up, Mike? How you doing, man? Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, Jamaica is fine. I just moved. Everything is crisp over here. Hey, Alex, how you doing, man? What's up?
How's it going, man?
Gonna be like I speak very poor Portuguese, so I'm not even gonna try. But
Oh, good.
yeah. All right, so I just have two questions. So first question is for you, Mike. I hope you don't mind. It's a simple question in terms of viral content. The content where you're actually in person with the guests, and the content where you're on Zoom or it's via calls. Is there a difference in terms of which one goes viral? Like you being in studio with the guest, does it make a difference? Or
So I'll tell you the best is Hermosi style direct to camera, and I'm farly lacking in that. Alex does that way more than me, and this is something I really. If you want to know like what does the best, it's look at Brad Lee, look at Cody Sanchez, look at Alex Hermosi. It's we literally all in the business we call it Hermosi style videos. That's what we do, and Alex does a really good job of that. Where it's going to be vertical, and then it's here's the 3 things you're doing to screw up. Here's the 5 things of blah, blah, blah. Cody Sanchez just kills it at this. So that's, to me, if you want to say that's the most viral. The second most viral thing, unfortunately, and I don't mean it to be this way, but it's where there's conflict on one of my, like Myron goes after some girl, or me and some girl get into an argument, or some girl says something that is woefully delusional. You saw this one clip the other day. It was Mac and Murphy talking to this woman who was saying that Ryan Gosling was average. And Mac and Murphy, who is as blue-pilled as you can get, it was sitting there like, Ryan Gosling is average, right? Like Mac and Murphy criticizes me and other red pillars for saying that women are delusional when it comes to their standards on physical attractiveness in men. And even after he said that, he walks right into this bear trap where this woman says Ryan Gosling is average. And you could just see the look on his face. He's like, wait a second, maybe these guys were right. That kind of stuff is that's the kind of stuff that goes most viral. Obviously, Ho Math with that one video where the girl was like, where are all the guys with no hose? And he goes, here's you trying to reach these guys, and then here's all the other guys messaging you on Bumble and not receiving an answer. Hope that helps. Those are the things that I see that go viral. Alex, what topics do you have that go the most viral?
Oh, for me, anytime I talk about anything that's controversial, for sure, it goes viral, and it could be something very simple. Obviously, I don't really talk about dating as much on Instagram, but I could start a video by saying stop wearing sneakers, stop. Right? People are like, wait, what do you mean? And I'm like, well, boots are just different. Every guy wears sneakers, right? So you need that hook, right? You need to pull them in, and you need something that's a little bit different. Because if I just said, this is why you should wear boots, it's all right. It's not. It doesn't have that ring to it. So being able to keep their attention for longer than like 3 to 5 seconds at the beginning of a video is so important to me, and I spend way too much time thinking about it because those are the most important seconds of a video.
Okay. All right, good. That helped a lot, guys. I've been working on my content, so I'm very curious about that. Second content, in terms of fashion, in terms of affordability in being stylish, like what tips do you have for that?
I would say we mentioned this a little bit. It's all about I would say the fit, right? So when it comes to fashion, you don't have, as a matter of fact, I would say right now there's a new trend called, it's not a new trend, but it's a trend that's picking up steam. It's called the old money aesthetic, right? And what that is like you dress as if you have old money, and old money dresses, it's like quiet luxury. It's like stealth wealth, so they don't have big brands like LV everywhere and Gucci everywhere. So it's way more minimal. What they're wearing might be LV, it might be crazy expensive, but they're not flexing it. So I would say a lot of people who, when they get into the fashion game, especially when they start making a little bit of money, they think that I'm just going to wear a bunch of designer shit and it's going to look amazing and I'm going to be, super stylish. That's actually not true at all. And I would say it makes you look even more tacky. So more affordable pieces without the branding, it could look like expensive pieces. So if you don't have the brand on it, no one knows what it is. And I would play into this old money aesthetic trend that's happening right now. Anything that doesn't have a brand, even something like a polo like this, is, you don't know what this is. It could be $1,000, it could be $50. No one really knows, and that's the point. So I would say stick to make sure that it fits you well, make sure that it feels good on you and that you look good, and that's the best thing you can do. Don't worry too much about spending a ton of money on designer brands.
Actually, Stephen, Alex has a video came out with recently, is like, why do poor people have better style? And he was like, yes, you should watch that video.
It's like, why broke guys have more style? Just
broke guys have more style.
I like that. I like that though. I like how you market it, man. In terms of like, I'm really gonna have to work on that it's not controversial, but it grabs the attention like immediately. Yeah.
Attention grabbing. Attention is difficult to get nowadays, right? So you have to be good and sharp with it.
Yeah, I've been posting. I don't know if Mike. I've been posting a lot of therapy content, and the content that goes viral is like content of, I think my wife is. It's like ask a therapist. That's the segment I call it. And it'll be like, my husband is leaving me for the nurse. My husband is leaving me for the helper. What do I do? So it's like these ratchet content, but it goes viral. And
Because it's fear. It's fear. It's like people don't want that to happen to them. You know what I'm saying? What would you do if you were on Maury Povich and found out the baby wasn't yours? Like, well, how would you act? Like that's what. It's just fear.
Yes. Yeah, shit like that goes viral. It's funny to me. Yeah. So it's not the self-help stuff, it's just the wild ratchet stuff. But I'm gonna go. Thanks a lot, guys.
Okay, awesome. Dennison, what's up, brother? Dennison, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Yo, what's up, Mike? What's up, Alex?
Hey, Dennison, you're having trouble with your audio. Dennison, brother, can you turn your camera off real quick? We've had this issue before. Something's wrong with your bandwidth. No, turn camera on off. Okay, talk now. Dennison, I'm going to need you to get off and get back on. We're just getting nothing but garbled noise. We can't understand you at all.
Okay, I'll come back.
This has happened a couple times with your connection, so I don't know. Maybe it's something with the microphone. Brett, what's going on, Brett? Brett Quigley. And go ahead and unmute yourself, Brett.
Thanks, Mike. Yeah, thanks for taking my question, man. And Alex, love your content, man. Thanks for all the advice and tips. Love your account.
Thank you so much, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem. I'm definitely trying to, help learn my fashion. I've never been really fashionable, that sort of thing. And I'm your age, man. I cannot believe you're my age, man. I was like, this is some 20 something year old guy. He's got amazing hair, but holy shit. So
I didn't look.
I'm really.
I had no idea how to dress or how to do my hair when I was like 25, dude. I had no clue what I was doing. Yeah, it's so funny. Like nowadays, you can age like fine wine if you just take care of yourself. And I mean, Michael looks incredible, bro. Let's talk about him. That skin is looking good, dude.
For sure, man. I feel the same way. Yeah, in my 20s, I had like weird bowl cut and all this stuff. But but yeah, now as I'm learning new things, I've been recommended or advised to use collagen. What's your take on collagen? I don't know, collagen peptides, not for the protein, but for the other benefits for the skin.
Yeah.
And then what do you do if you do anything for like under eye redness as you get older?
Yeah. I think there's a lot of look nowadays. If you look for if you have an issue and a problem, let's say like, oh, my skin's not doing great, and you go online and you search for it, it's kind of like going to Wikipedia to find this stuff out. It's just you don't really need it. Like I would say that when it comes to collagen, for example, it's a nice to have, and if you're deficient in collagen for some reason, great, go for a collagen supplement, and that will help. There's like collagen water, collagen supplements, powdered, but I think it's more about taking care of your skin in other ways. I would say there's way more benefits in washing your face twice a day, in the morning and night, and moisturizing your face, wearing sunscreen. I would say actually that's number one, is wearing sunscreen. But collagen is like, it's just a nice to have. I wouldn't put too much effort into looking into that.
Okay. Yeah. I was thinking about the shakes and stuff. And then what about like eyes? Do you do anything for your eyes, or is that kind of
for under eyes? Yeah, eye cream. Eye cream is number one for sure. Use an eye cream just at night before you go to bed. But honestly, sleep is probably the number one when it comes to just waking up with like baggy eyes. Also drinking, right? Any the type of food that you're eating, just being healthy, getting enough sleep, that's gonna go much further than any little supplements or anything like that.
That's great. Yeah, I appreciate that. Sometimes you hear you kind of the quick fixes and like adding more things are marketed at you that help you out. So that's interesting that you don't really use.
Yeah, and I do think there's a place for a lot of those things, right? So for example, if you've tried everything and then they say, hey, collagen will help, why not give it a shot, right? You've tried everything else. But I think there are so many steps to get there. Before collagen is before you find out that collagen is what you need, you should go through all of the basics first and make sure that you're nailing those. And then you can start looking into collagen or other procedures or anything else that if it really matters to you.
It makes sense. All right. Yeah. Thanks a lot, man. You mentioned earlier on the call actually about suits. And I was in the generation where it's like, oh, it's so stuffy. I don't really want to wear a suit around. But then, you see influencers and they're dressing it down more, sneakers, tank top underneath. I like that idea, man. That's great. What what are some maybe places or styles to look for kind of slim, I don't know, casual looking suits? I think you guys mentioned Zara was one.
So, you know, it's funny, when I first started doing like anything suit related on social media, this was many years ago. I was broke, you know, so I'm like, oh, how do I do suit content? Like I'm broke. I don't have money to buy and tailor suits. So I went to Zara and I picked up suits at a couple of suits at Zara, and I got them tailored for cheap. It was like less than $50, you know. At the time, it didn't feel like it was cheap, but looking back now, it was affordable. And I had those suits forever. I actually still have a couple of them, and they make great suits. It's really all about the fit. I would say Zara is a good place for you to look at. And then if you want to go like a more tailored already and more custom, Indochino is great. It's like they make affordable custom suits, you know. And if you want like be above that, then you go to like Suit Supply, right? So I think you just find what works within your budget, go feel it, try it on, get it tailored, and it will look super sharp. And you're right, you don't have to wear the, you know, the stuffy tie and all that. It's important. A lot of guys just wear suits when there's a wedding, there's an event, right? A funeral, something like that. So obviously make sure that you don't show up in a suit and tank top to a funeral. Like that's just not the way it works. But so make sure that you're keeping up with the dress code.
All right. Hey,
Thanks,
Brett.
man.
So check it out. So he's been on for a while. I appreciate that, Brett. So what we're going to do, guys, is a speed round. You guys know how we talk about it, Men of Action. You need to be able to express yourself in a 30-second elevator pitch. No questions that go longer than 30 seconds. Don't care. Questions should go longer than 20 seconds. Your question should be in 2 sentences. You understand? Like his time is valuable, and make your question good. And then let's just do one question for the rest of the guys so we can do this really quickly. Hey, thanks a lot, Brett. Toby, let me see real quick. Toby, go ahead and unmute yourself. Toby, what's your question?
Oh yeah, so this is it's about social media. I feel like I have a pretty good Instagram, but I've been looking into Reels and just like I've seen the power of it in LA. How would you balance like creating Reels on Instagram versus like pictures and just having your personal brand like flushed out in that way and like finding content for Reels?
Are you trying to become a content creator influencer full time?
I'm looking into it. I'm not sure if I want to like go full time into it. I haven't really even started posting yet, but I'm like looking to like to try it, you know, just to improve my Instagram in any way.
Yeah, here's what I say. I think first you need to decide. Well, you can definitely give it a shot and see how it feels, right, to create content, but you should probably decide sooner rather than later whether or not this is something that you want to pursue, for sure, because it takes a while. It takes a lot of effort. It takes a lot of videos and consistency for you to be able to grow your following. It's not like, oh, I'm gonna try it and post once a week and see what happens. You need to do more than that. When it comes to like changing between, you know, the between photos and Reels, if you look at my page, I like barely post any photos because they just don't. They get the likes and they get the comments, but they don't reach a wider audience. They don't reach new followers. Reels, that reaches new followers. That's like the new shiny toy on Instagram. That's what they're pushing. So I post photos when they're like sick photos. I'm like, okay, let's make my profile look really sick. Let's post this photo for my followers. Versus I want to grow on Instagram. Let's post Reels that will reach a wide audience and people will follow me from those Reels. So that's what I would think. I would go full Reels first strategy and just post photos to make your profile look good.
Would you still like post your Reels on your main feed? Because I know a lot of like creators, they just post Reels on their Reels page, and so that their like feed can still look aesthetic. Because I've seen a lot of like Reel content, like Reel pages. They kind of just pollute their feed with Reels.
You can just add a cover photo. If you look at my page, it looks aesthetic. You know, I take a photo to use as a cover in every single Reel, and it looks good. It looks like a high-end photo. I think are you talking about creating a separate Instagram for Reels, or are you talking about just the Reels like shelf?
No, yeah, I just mean like the Reels page, like the Reels.
I like to post the majority. I would say 99% of my Reels go onto my main feed, my main profile as well. So they have that little Reel icon, but it's a professional photo, so it looks clean, it looks good, and you can actually move the photo and make it look really nice and aesthetic. So I would do that.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Awesome, man.
I've been through, like, I just want to say, like, I've been through MOA. Like I've taken some good pictures for my Instagram, but like I'm in LA, and like the people that I know who are like really killing it, like on Instagram, are just posting like nonstop reels. So I'm
Yeah,
like,
that's something we talk about in Men of
the way to do it.
Action a lot. Like
Yeah.
91% of my engagement comes from people who don't follow me, and 95% of my engagement comes from reels. So yeah, I agree with you totally.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Awesome. Jordan, nope. Jordan, what's your question, man? Jordan.
Sorry,
there you
Mike, I'm
go.
on a sales call. Give me 2 minutes.
Okay, sounds good, man. Let's do Lewis. Lewis, what's your question? And Lewis, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Okay, cool. Thank you, Michael. So Alex, first off, I've been binging your content lately, so thank you for all the work you put in. Like, it's very high level. There's two quick questions that I have. One is like, I work for MOA. I speak to a lot of guys, and come 2024, there's so many guys that are looking to really revamp their style. So many guys are telling me like, they're going to do an image overhaul. If someone were to just throw out their entire closet, like what are some evergreen pieces that you would really recommend for someone that they can just use like 2024, 2025 and things like that?
Yeah, I think it's a little broad just in terms of I do believe in personal style and making sure that you're getting pieces that work for you.
Mhm.
But I'll be somewhat generic with my answer because we're talking about, try to hit as many guys as possible here. I would say obviously t-shirts, you're going to need different colors of t-shirts, white, black, gray. When it comes to pants, I would do chinos. A lot of guys tend to just gravitate towards jeans and denim, which is cool. I think every guy should have like a light wash denim, black denim. Those are the two. And then kind of stop getting jeans. Like a lot of guys are like, I need jeans, different types of washes. Not really, because it serves one purpose. It's like the casual look and that's it. So I go for chinos. I go for more like tailored trousers, things that elevate your look a little more, because that's what shows that you're stylish and different from the other guys who are all wearing jeans. Polos are very in right now because of that old money aesthetic situation that I was telling you about. I would say, a long sleeve knit polo. This one's from Banana Republic. It was like $90 on Black Friday that I just got it, last week, a couple weeks ago. I would say, do you live, is it cold where you live? Where do you live?
No, and that was my next question because I live in Miami.
Miami, yeah. So I will be honest, like it makes it a little bit tougher to be stylish in a place like Miami, or even in a place like LA sometimes, because you don't have those layers, right? So what you have to do is, for example, you have the necklace, the pendant. You have to add those elements to your outfit, otherwise it's just like a boring t-shirt and jeans, right? So you have cool hair, like I can see what you're doing here, and it's working. For Miami specifically, I would also go with like button up shirts, but casual short sleeve shirts, so that you can leave some buttons open, you can get the necklace in there, fill that real estate, get a watch. Accessories are going to be your best friend when it comes to living in a hot climate and trying to be stylish, because otherwise you're going to be soaked in sweat. So you got to be stylish by using accessories and adding to your outfit. Otherwise it's boring and a little basic.
Lewis, my favorite accessory in a hot climate is just to get bigger arms.
That's also
I'm not kidding.
I'm working on it.
I'm telling you, bro. Like it's just that probably
helps. Just works.
I've tried all the different accessories. That's the one that worked the best for me.
Right. It's the angles. I look bigger in person, I promise.
Yep. Okay. Perfect.
Yeah. I did buy trousers because of you very recently. I wore it out like I think last weekend or something. I'm like, wow, this is a completely different look. Like I've always been the jean guy, so thank you for that. So that's
exactly. Yeah, that's the majority of guys. It's just jeans, different jeans, but you got to change it up. You got to be different. You got to stand out somehow.
I appreciate that, Lewis. Zoom user, I'm not going to call on you. You got to change your name in there because I can't call Zoom user. Dennison, we're going to try this one more time with you real quick. Let me see here. Dennison. I don't understand. It's not letting me, for some reason, Dennison, it's not letting me call you up. Let me see. Here we go. Dennison, try it one more time.
All right. How's the sound now?
Perfect.
All right.
Perfect.
All right, great. Sorry about that. Don't know what happened. All right, thank you, gentlemen. What's going on, Mike? Good to see you again. Alex, it's a pleasure, man. Thank you very much for that great game. So, excuse me. I actually also recently got into building a brand of fashion. So I'm really glad to meet you and to hear what you've been doing. I'm wondering if you started with the designs in your head, or did you start with fixing solving a problem as far as the business that you started? And any tips that you have for me as I'm starting out with my venture?
Sure. So I would say for clothing, everything that I do, I try to solve a problem with. Like that's number one for me. And for clothing, it was the same. So for us, we just wanted to create something that was simple for guys, that would make it easy for them to mix and match and create different outfits from a small wardrobe. Now, when it comes to clothing and fashion, that's not always the case. Sometimes you just want to wear/design cool shit. You know, you're not really trying to solve it. I guess maybe there's a problem of like, you don't want to look basic. You don't want to look like everybody else. And that could be the problem. But in reality, like if you're designing things to make men look good and feel good, that could also be the problem that you're solving. So it depends. What kind of clothing brand are you trying to create?
Well, what I was where I came from is where I had certain ideas of materials that I don't see used often. For example, like African kente cloth that is not in designs like what I wear, like waistcoats like this. It's a more traditional wear. So I figured to take that cloth and put it into modern Western clothing, like ties and waistcoats that have sleek design instead of being super flashy. I just haven't seen something like that before. And those are the kind of images I have in my head.
Exactly, and that's great in itself, right? So if you're doing something that hasn't really been done before, if you're doing something that I'm assuming you're pulling this from cultural experience, from something that you maybe you grew up with, or you have your family that has worn before. I think that's great because there's a story behind that, and it's personal to you, and you have those values that you're now putting into your brand. So it makes it special, it makes it different. So I would stick to that, and I would just make sure that the marketing really talks about why you're doing it. It's not just another waistcoat coat. It's not just another tie. It's different because ABC, right? So I think that's really important, nailing that first.
Yeah. Did you start with one item? Sorry to follow up. Did you start with one item, or did you just explore each idea of like trying to solve that problem?
I think it's always good to test the waters first, personally, if you have a tight budget. So I would even start with just an ad for something that doesn't exist, just to see if people bite, just to see if people are interested in it, and then go from there.
All right. Thank you very much.
Appreciate it. Ryan, what's your question, Ryan? Ryan, go ahead and unmute yourself.
All right, can you hear me?
Yep.
Awesome. So hey, yeah, I was encouraged to kind of reach out, and my question is, I am basically pursuing real estate investing, right? And I just wonder what ideas or advice would you have for me as far as for being able to kind of move into that more successfully?
Alex,
I just
go ahead.
Oh no, I put out a lot of money to do that, and I'm kind of like, I'm just trying to figure out, just get advice and whatever ideas from anywhere, so I can get the ball rolling and actually start making some money in it.
Alex, you're getting into real estate investing. Do you have any advice there?
I am. So have you invested in real estate? Where are you at right now in the journey?
So yeah, I've made 2 deals in the past. No, it wasn't the most successful deals.
Like what kind of deals? Okay, wholesaling? Like what?
So I got a pre-foreclosure one, and then the other one I got, it was a lease option. And they kind of ended up, I just didn't do my due diligence, right? I didn't know exactly what I was doing. So now I'm investing more inside of my education versus just kind of like, going at it. I'll figure this thing out, right?
That's literally what you have to do. I mean, it sounds like and correct me if I'm wrong here, but it sounds like you heard that you make money on real estate. You went and you saved some money and you spent it into real estate without actually doing, all the due diligence and learning that was necessary for you to be successful at that. And you paid the price. I think going back into education and just learning as much as possible about it before you spend that money to buy something or rent something is the way to go. That's what I would do. I mean, invest into yourself,
Ryan, this is not my specialty, so I pay someone to help me with this thing. Does that make sense?
Interesting. It does. Yeah. Thank you.
Right. If you have capital, that's what I would tell you. Is I just had Fit X Fearless on my podcast earlier today, and one of the things we talked about was I'm always trying to hire people to replace every single mechanism in my life till I could just like, the only thing I need to do is sleep. And like, I had Max Turno on one time. He goes, I wish that they would just plop me into a wheelchair, roll me in front of a camera. I talk for a few hours and they plop me back on my bed. And like, that's what I wish my life was like. I wish I did nothing with that. Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you.
Okay. All right, man. Fernando, what's your question? And stand by. Fernando, go ahead and unmute yourself. Fernando, let's try to unmute yourself one more time. Just
Yes.
There you go.
I was hitting that space bar. Can you hear me well?
Yep.
Okay, awesome. Hey, I have a question on Instagram. I have three. I have a personal. I have two.
Fernando, how quick can you ask him? Can you ask each one of them in one sentence? I'm serious.
Yes. Should I consolidate to one? Personal,
That'd be great.
Two different
That'd be
businesses.
Great. But by the way, guys, the reason why I'm doing this is not to be an asshole. The reason why I'm doing this is because so many of you guys have a hard time communicating over Zoom. And what you do is you bloviate for half an hour when your question was, why'd she cheat on me? Your question was, what's a better diet? And it's one sentence. One of the things that happens, and this is a big problem in self-help, is the more unique you think your problem is, the longer your explanation is. And the thing is, the longer you've been doing self-help, the more you figure out we all have the same fucking problems. All of us. You can ask your question. I promise you, every one of you could ask your question in one or two sentences.
Okay. And does it matter if they're three completely
Fernando,
different?
ask the first question, please. You got this, brother. Come on.
Yeah. Should I consolidate three different Instagrams,
Just
even if they're all completely different in different realms, different businesses?
Can you tell me more about the three businesses and what they are, and the three Instagram profiles?
One is personal, one is commercial graphics and signage, the other is custom-made electric bicycles.
Okay. I would say no. Those are completely different Instagram pages, right? So I think, are you having trouble just keeping up with the amount of content for three pages and you want to consolidate into one? Is that why? Or you're just trying to grow that one page and put all your efforts into it?
I'd rather grow all, just have one, but the three just makes sense.
It makes way more sense. I think those are especially the bike and the signs you said, right? They're
right.
Completely different. I think if you had a personal page and you also sold electric bikes, right, and it was just part of your life, this is your business, and you consolidated those into one, that would be okay. But when you add that second business in there, it's just they're completely different customer base, audience, price points, everything. So I wouldn't put those two together.
Fernando, so there's two types of businesses on social media. There's sexy businesses and boring businesses. So if I have a business where I'm teaching you how to do events with like superstars, or let's just say I have a company where I sell high-end real estate, or if I sell like selling Sunset, or if I have something where I do high-end watches or high-end cars, those are sexy businesses. Also, guys who take photos of girls in bikinis, those are sexy businesses. Accounting, debt reconsolidation, things like this, construction, these are not sexy businesses. You're not sexy business. I'm sorry to tell you this, unless you build a fucking huge brand and you have an incredible podcast, you're probably going to have to pay for traffic. You're going to have to pay for leads. If you have a sexy business, remember, it's him. And so in his life, he's using the hair care products. He's using the skincare products. He's wearing the clothes, and he's creating the content that all fits under one brand, and it's all sexy. All of the things Alex does are fun, exciting things that people like to look at on social media. I don't know that bicycles are. They could be, but you have to understand. So what I found is your sexy business and your not sexy business can't be on the same platform. It just doesn't work. You cannot do real estate investing and be a fucking bikini photographer on the same platform. It just doesn't work.
I guess the only thing is the bicycles would be lifestyle. Where
okay, but you hold on, Fernando. Then make a lifestyle.
It's separate.
Fernando, make lifestyle bicycle content. And if you go on TikTok, you're going to find 100 for sure. If you want to do that, that's fine. You can make bicycles sexy, but some of the other stuff is just not sexy. I'm just telling you, some businesses are just so fucking boring that nobody cares. Dentistry is like meh, kind of in the middle. Plastic surgery is actually a sexy business. You actually don't have to do any advertisement. Those things will go viral. You show like new fake boobs, people will look at that shit. It just depends on what it is that you're doing. But some businesses are just automatically not viral. That makes sense? That's what I would look at. I would have 3 separate IGs, like you said before. I'm just saying, like some like if I'm trying to sell, if I'm like a headhunter, Instagram is not going to be the main place where I'm going to do business. It's going to be LinkedIn, right? It's just certain businesses work better in certain places. Okay, guys, I'm going to do 2 more and then we're done. Because my man here has been on here for so long, and I feel bad. So let's try this again one more time.
Let's get it.
You doing okay, Jimmy? And what's your question? Hold on. Go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hey, what's up, guys? Can you hear me?
Sure can.
Very grateful for this moment. Thank you, too, for all the work that you do. Just to crack into it, I'm in a very unique situation. I carry this sacred medicine, not really legal in the United States. It's Bufo or 5-MeO-DMT, some people know it as. Where I am now is I'd like to get some real estate in Mexico where it's legal.
Yeah.
Run ads, have people...
Is DMT legal in Mexico? I know a lot of stuff's legal there. You probably want to check that out to see if DMT is the most controlled like psychedelic substance on planet Earth. I'm not positive that it's legal in Mexico. You might want to check that out. I could be wrong, but I don't know if it is.
I'll check into it.
Yeah, well, like marijuana is not legal in Mexico. You know, marijuana is not legal in Mexico, but I can literally take Trembolone there, and they don't give a fuck. It's crazy. I can take equipoise in Mexico, like steroids. They don't care. Anyway, go ahead.
Sounds like a backward road to me.
Yeah.
So just any ideas of real estate there? Last time I checked, it was legal. I mean, there's a tribe called the Siri tribe in Punta Checa, Mexico, that we get the medicine from. And I know Alex, he was talking about real estate, and the plan is just to save up some capital and have people come to me and, you know, hopefully form some sexy trauma release business around it, because I really think it could be big if it's framed in the right and, of course, legal way.
Okay. This is hey, so he's
curveball.
He's peddling DMT. What do you think, man? Have you tried DMT?
You know what? I can't say I have. I've heard a lot about it, but I don't. That doesn't sound legal. Is that? I don't know. I got nothing for you. I actually don't know.
Jimmy, I'm going to say something that's crazy. I know this seems to be like a passion of yours, but one thing that I have found in making money is that there are so many legal ways to make money. There is no reason to ever do shit illegal anymore. I don't mind paying taxes anymore. If you don't like your tax rate, move to Florida or fucking Nevada. There's like, seriously, like I'm to the point now where there's so many ways to make money. There's no point in us like fucking moving DMT or heroin, not heroin, but obviously I'm not comparing the two, but you know what I'm saying? There's no reason
no
for
trafficking idea. Look into Martin Ball, Dr. Martin Ball.
Okay.
You know, he's a guy that practices it under a controlled setting. And
listen, I know a ton of dudes. Listen, I know a ton of dudes that are into DMT. I know a ton of dudes, but it's the end of the scale, bro. You understand? Like that's as far as it goes as far as psychedelics. That's the end of it. That's beyond mushrooms, LSD. Like DMT is the end.
That's why I
of the
fuck
scale.
with it, man.
Okay, all right.
That's why I love it. Yeah,
sounds good, man.
And so that just any insight. I know y'all not trying to get you to answer my drug dealing questions or anything. I genuinely look at this from a healing perspective, and I've seen what it's done for me. And I want to bring this down into, you know, it's very woo, and I want to blend in the entrepreneurship, you know, work every day, build something out of this aspect. Because I have the connections, I just need to build the thing.
And I'll just say, if it is legal, and it could be a good idea, right? Who am I to say? I honestly do not have any knowledge in that space. So just make sure that you're doing your research. See if it's legal. That's a good start. If you're not 100% sure yet, you haven't done your research, and it could work. I mean, I know a lot of guys who do ayahuasca, you know, and they pay for it. They pay a lot of money for that stuff. So.
Yeah,
ayahuasca is actually how I got into it. Yeah,
Quest ayahuasca. Ayahuasca is a good old gateway drug, man. Get you some peyote while you're out there.
Peyote too. Yep, all of it. Yeah,
I'm not shocked at all. I was pretty sure. All right, brother. Awesome. Toby, what's your question, Toby?
There we go. Okay, yeah. This is for Alex. I have really shitty hair genetics. Like I have very thin and like very oily hair. And so I've struggled over the years to actually like get really good like hairstyles, and like what would your tips be for someone with like really thin and mainly just thin hair to get like a good like full hairstyle?
Yeah, for sure. So, this is actually, I would say maybe the number one problem for guys is thin hair, whether you just have it naturally or you're actually starting to thin because of age. So we try to solve that with the products that we create, right? So we really think about guys like you who have a tougher time styling their hair. I would say there's products like you'd want a pre-styler. So the way that you style your hair, I don't know if this is what you do now, but let me just go over it real quick for anybody listening to, is after you wash your hair and it's damp, you apply some type of pre-styler before you style your hair. And that could be like a paste, a cream, or in our case at Forte Series, we have a thickening spray, we have a sea salt spray, and that adds a base to your hair. It adds volume and that body and shape initially to your hair. Then after you blow dry or air dry, whatever it is that you do, then you style it with something like a cream, and you could even double it up, pre-styler cream and then post-styler cream, and that product literally just makes your hair more voluminous, just makes it more, add some body and height to it, which I think is super important. I would say if I had to just tell you which products to use, just from looking at your hair, you should start with a sea salt spray or a thickening spray, just a couple of sprays of that when it's wet, and then apply a hairstyling cream when it's done, after you blow dry it to finish it off, and that will look a lot thicker. Also, let your hair grow a little bit longer, and it usually has that, it makes it look a little thicker.
Yeah. My hair is not done right now, but what I do normally is I put a bunch of hair powder, and that's actually been really helpful. And then I put like clay on, but it's still kind of rigid. Like I can't really do that like messy textured look. Even though the hair powder has helped. Do you think that like the sea salt spray would help with that?
I think the sea salt spray would help. The texture powder is usually great, but it works in specific cases and not so much in others. So I would say test it out. Get the sea salt spray or the thickening spray, apply that, play around with it, watch some tutorials, and you'll be able to figure it out. And I think, are you thinning? Are you getting like, are you losing hair or no?
No, I'm not thinning. I just have very fine hair. It's just based on genetics. Like I can't do like a mid part or anything like that. So yeah.
So that just a pre-styler that thickens your hair, like the thickening spray or the sea salt spray, and then a product like the cream. I wouldn't even do a clay, to be honest with you. Yeah.
You wouldn't do a clay?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'll definitely experiment. Dude, thank you so much. I've been struggling with this for years, so thank you.
Yeah, no, of course. All right.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. Let's do this. We'll do two more. I'm sorry. Let me bang this one out here. Let's do Aswad. What's your question?
Hello, Alex. Yeah, I love your content, man. So I have a question for you. So as someone who's who has dabbled in the fitness industry too, so what would be your suggestion to a 24-year-old self to eat regularly? What would be your diet plan to look good as you?
It's funny. I've never counted my calories ever in my life. I really don't care that much to like be a bodybuilder, right? So if you're trying to become a bodybuilder, if that's like your business, then you can go pretty deep, and I'm just not the guy for that. But what I try to do is be healthy and look good, and to showcase like a healthy lifestyle. So what I do is I just cut out all of the bad stuff that I was eating before and drinking soda, sugars, anything like that. And then I just started to make sure that I had my meals, either I prepped them myself back in the day or get them delivered, so that I know exactly what's going into my body in terms of, I'm not getting Uber Eats every night because it's so saucy and it's so heavy. Calories in, calories out. That it's as simple as that. So if you want to gain weight, just consume more calories. And it's as simple as that. So I think coming up with a diet plan for you on the fly, I'm not sure if I could do that for you.
Okay, thanks.
Oh, hold on, Alex, I forgot to ask you, do you do intermittent fasting? I saw you have the 9:30 breakfast. That's what I was asking. Have you tried it at all?
Not on purpose.
Okay. So for me, because I was up to 237 pounds, but I was all muscle. Like I was too big and I wanted to get down to like maybe 214. I just started, it's basically you're skipping breakfast and you're pushing your first, I haven't eaten today. Like it's 7 p.m. here. I haven't eaten yet. I'm about to have my first meal here in a little bit. And I'm just on edge, but like awake the whole time because the ketosis is helping me. So, and it also, if I need to, I can do 1900 calories a day like that. That's why I do the intermittent fasting. It's helped me probably more than anything as far as losing weight.
Are you trying to lose weight or gain weight right now?
Oh, I'm trying to lose weight a little bit. Then I will, gradually take up weight when I hit a point.
Then you gain muscle after. Yeah. I would say, I mean, obviously cardio, cardio is going to be the number one, and then just trying to don't eat shit like fast food and soda and whatnot. And that's honestly a great start.
Yeah. Another question I have for Michael. So like, I'm targeting to go for my PhD or master's in September 2024 or like, January 2025. So to build my social circle in America. So I live in a country, it's right beside India and Bangladesh. So where would you suggest me to go and study? So I have a few choices: Arizona, Las Vegas, California, Atlanta, Connecticut, and Austin. So these are my choices.
So I'm going to ask you honestly, man, like what kind of girls do you like? I'm just gonna be honest. If you like
changes everything.
Fit girls with big fake boobies, I'm gonna say Vegas or Arizona. If you like big old round fake booties, then I'm gonna tell you to go to Miami. If you like light skinned black girls with green eyes, you're gonna go to Atlanta. Like you gotta tell me what you like.
Okay, no, so Arizona is, for me, is the first choice because like one of my cousins lives there, so I can crash in his couch and stay there and like,
I mean, I would focus way more. Like you're not gonna have much of a social circle if you're sitting there crashing on someone's couches. I would focus way more on the quality of education if you're gonna do this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
That would be the number one thing. But no place for a single guy. Nothing matches Las Vegas. Nothing is even close. Nothing is even half as good as Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Not if you're looking for a relationship, but like if just in general being a single dude trying to build a social circle, nothing comes close to Las Vegas. And last one. We're gonna do last one. It's gonna be Nate. Nate, what's your question, brother?
Hey, what's up, Alex? So I have this kind of, I guess you can call like a girls kind of call like a husky boy complexion with like blue eyes and like darker hair and like a very like, I don't know, like white skin. And I was just asking, like trying to get some like tips for like how to dress to kind of match this complexion.
You have blue eyes?
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of times, especially if you have dark features, I would say if you wear something that kind of matches your eyes, like I don't know if it's like light blue or dark blue, it's a little hard to see, but I would wear something like that, and it just brings your eyes out so much. I have green eyes, and I'm colorblind. I'm really bad with greens and red for so I grew up not even knowing exactly what to wear, which is funny that I ended up doing fashion. But one time I wore green and people just complimented me left and right. I'm like, oh, I should wear more green, right? So that's how you find those things out. And for you, it's going to be whatever matches your eyes. That's a great start. But then also black, just because it goes with your darker features as well. Like your eyebrows, you have like thicker eyebrows, and it seemed like you have pretty thick, dark hair, right? Just from looking. So I would say black or blue to match your eyes. That's probably the way to go. Getting a tan would help, I will say. Going outside once in a while, man.
Makes sense. Oh, Nate, did you mute yourself? Nate, go ahead. Try it again.
Yeah, I didn't know. Yeah. Everything would kind of make sense. I feel like kind of blacks kind of look best on me as well. So when I wear white, I just look like washed out.
Yeah, I wouldn't wear. Do you wear anything blue or no?
When I want to like dress up, I think mostly I just wear black, like most of the time.
Yeah, black's a safe option, right? I would say
what would you how would you even like style like blue? Like I can't imagine what that would look like.
Where do you, you're wearing a hoodie right now. It looks like you're like in
like I'm from like a some kind of like teenage vampire drama, and like they don't really wear blue and those kind of things.
Yeah, are you trying to look like a vampire?
No, I'm just saying that like that's like what my complexion is like. So
Yeah, I would say like a blue sweater, for example. And by the way, it doesn't have to be like, I don't wear a lot of colors either. So when I wear a green, I can put like a jacket over a green sweater, and there's some green to pull from, right? So I wouldn't really wear like a bright blue polo or anything like that. But you could do a blue sweater, a blue hoodie if you're into that, or a blue t-shirt underneath your black hoodie, right? And all of a sudden now you're kind of mixing those two together, and that works really well for your complexion.
okay, makes sense. Thanks, man.
Yeah. Chris.
All right. I lied. Steve Rosario, you're the last one. Last one. Steve, what's your question, brother?
Cool. So yeah, I just recently started thinning. Is there any kind of pill that I can take? No, I'm just kidding. I'm bald by choice. No, so 35, I've been an educator for about 10 years, music education actually. And I'm looking to get into another career. I'm not really, I can't imagine there's not a whole lot that I wouldn't do. I mean, legally, of course. My biggest problem right now is just that career is really capped. So I'm open to just about anything. Obviously, I have experience, speaking in front of a bunch of students, large classrooms. I have no problem talking in front of people. But to synthesize the question, what would you recommend would be like, what would be a relevant line of work that I could do, but that wouldn't be capped, that wouldn't be something salaried? And I guess this is a question for either of you.
Mike, is that you're going to say sales?
So the easiest thing that you like. So here's the problem, right? Whatever thing that Alex or I say to you, it's already too late. So if I say, let's get into solar, dude, I know so many dudes here are into solar. It's going to be flooded.
Yeah.
If you say, hey, you know what you need to do? Start flipping some real estate. No, the people making money now are the people teaching real estate courses. They're not the people selling real estate. Like there's just, I want to say, I think it's something like in Clark County, 15% of the real estate agents here sell 95% of the houses. There's some massive, like 60% have never sold one house. Okay. Whatever we tell you is going to be flooded, which is why the answer is always, what is the problem you're solving? If you know that, there was a nightclub in the Palms here. It was called Chaos. It was my favorite nightclub. They spent ass tons of money to get Skrillex and all these other DJs there. And the fucking thing went out of business after one summer. You want to know why? Because it solved zero problems. Why did we need another nightclub? There was no purpose for it. The Skrillex could have played it at Excess or a Hakkasan. We didn't need, there was nothing that differentiated it from other spots other than that it was bigger. And so if you don't solve a problem, you're just going to get dunked on. The people give me this idea for an app, and I'll show them 17 apps that do the exact same thing theirs do, but they don't look at their competition. So my answer to you is, Stephen, is what problem are you solving? That's always going to be it. The thing about high ticket sales is you can do it from home. You can do it out in education. You can teach yourself to do it no matter what your personality is. And when you do it, you can make ungodly amounts of money. That's why I like that thing, but it's hard. It's a high wire act, and it will rob your soul sometimes when people keep telling you no. So that's why, but I'll be honest with you. You do sales, there's no industry you can't work in, and you will never be unemployed.
Got it. Yeah, I just actually I read Start With Why a long time ago, and actually just recently listened to The One Thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel like I've still always been figuring that out.
As far as what your one thing is,
right,
Stephen, I just got to tell you again, I can't tell you what your one thing is, because imagine if I was like, hey, bro, you know what it is? Reverse life insurance. So reverse life insurance, you'll become a fucking millionaire. If I said that, the moment I know about it, it's already too late. Okay. Yeah. You know what you should have done, Stephen? I don't know why you didn't think of this. Just buy Bitcoin at 5,000 and sell it at 60K. Then you'd be rich. Why didn't you think of that, Stephen? The problem is it's too late. Once you figured it out, the Bitcoin's at 60K. That's the problem. Does that make sense? So the only way to get ahead, is to find a problem you're solving that no one else is solving. There is no other way to secure alpha from the market other than to do that. Make sense?
Yes.
So that's it. That's the way I would be looking at it. That's the way I'd be thinking about it. And I put that ahead of passion. Like solving problem first, passion a second.
Yeah, and I think that's the trap that I fell into, is because, like, with music and everything, it felt like one thing, but at the end of the day, it was just like the one thing that I did in my life that just felt good to do. But yeah, I'm tapped off. Like,
it sounds like because in education, you learn a lot about being eloquent, and like you said, you can speak to a room full of people. You're very, very eloquent. You speak well. That
Thank
is
you.
a great skill in itself to have, right? And it lends itself over to social media, to sales. So maybe if you start with the skill sets that you have, or the skill sets that you can acquire quickly to make money, and start applying that to solving the problems that Mike was mentioning. That might be the way to go.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Steven, I love it, man. I appreciate it. Hey, Alex, man, I can't thank you enough. This was great. I know we kept you on here for a long time, but you gave a lot of really great stuff. This is a part, I do male self-improvement. I'm a performance coach. This is not my strong suit. I tell guys, wear shit that works out, that looks good on you, that fits really well. You don't need a ton of colors, and just get in really fucking good shape. 71% of attraction that women find for men comes from upper body muscle. That's why I tell guys to do, what I'm saying? I don't take a ton of chances when it comes to style. So I'm really happy to have you on. I thought you had a lot of great insight, and a lot about, about half the guys in my program are entrepreneurs. So you building a channel straight up from YouTube, and actually, coming from the big tech and going into becoming a content creator is awesome, man. So I really appreciate all the advice you gave.
Thank you so much, man. It was a pleasure talking to you and learning so much as well from what you've been saying. And I just want to thank everybody for that watched it live. I appreciate you and all the questions that you've asked as well, especially the ones who have been watching the content and mentioned that it means the world to me. So I really appreciate it. Michael, we'll have to connect in person at some point.
I will come to New York, because I work for a hedge fund. Like, I'm a quant for a hedge fund at part-time. And I go to these meetings out there. We can go to Ashaval and Tribeca. Have you been to that place?
No, I haven't.
That's for your cheat day. We're going to Ashaval and
Let's
Tribeca.
go.
Bro, it's worth flying to Manhattan just for that place.
All right, anytime you're here, let me know.
Yeah, and my friend Jason Strauss, he owns Tao Hakkasan. So we can go to Tao, the restaurant, and at Beauty and Essex, all those places. He owns all those. So that's definitely something we can do. And if you come to Vegas, let me know, man. I'll set you up wherever. I got the hookup.
Yeah, sounds good. I'm there once or
man.
twice a year, so I'll definitely keep you posted.
Please let me know, dude. I host the biggest bikini competition in the United States there in the summer at Wet Republic.
You think I'd look good in one, or would it?
No, I don't. I think you'd look good as a judge.
I would love that. That'd be sick.
Okay. All right. That is not so. That's very. If I can get Rollo Tomasi in as a judge, I can get you in. It's not a problem. All right, man. I will talk to all you guys later. We're going to get out of here. Like I said before, a couple things. If you guys are in Las Vegas on the 17th of December, we're having the world's largest toy drive run by Dan Fleischman, and it's going to be at the Dragon's Lair, which is it's going to be Flex Lewis's gym. If you guys want to do that, it's from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. on the 17th. I'm going to be hosting that and inviting people to that if you guys are interested. And then in 2 weeks, when we do this next Monday call, my guest will be Homath. Homath wanted to come back on. We had such a great conversation. So me and Homath are going to do a couple hours as a live stream. You guys can ask him questions. Nobody's done live stream questions like this with him before. They've only done super chat, so it should be an interesting time. Hopefully, Alex will get you back on here. Next time you come to Vegas, I'd love to have you in the studio for a podcast. And I will see all of you guys in 2 weeks. For those of you who are in Men of Action, I will see you guys in 24 hours. And any of you guys who are interested in learning more about the Men of Action course, please check out the link in the video below, or just go to MOA Mentoring.com.